Hello everyone! Welcome back to Marvel Mania. 'Tis I, Captain Logan, and look, it's DJ Martinez!
Good evening, folks.
How's it going, man?
It's going good. It's a good week. Good time.
That's great. I'm glad to hear it.
In between.
Yeah, it's weird because we're only doing this every 2 weeks, but it feels more often than that, right? Like, the time is just blowing by.
Oh yeah, we're busy, man. Busy guys. You've been busy on the channel lately. It's been going great.
Yeah, thanks, man. Doing a lot of cool stuff. I've got a big project coming up that I'm not telling anybody what it is yet, that I've been working a lot on, that I'll be unveiling in about a week and a half, so that's exciting. But tonight, we're going to finally tackle Thor Ragnarok, which is a movie that I have been curious to see what even attempting to do a commentary for us is going to look like, but also one that I have, I'll be totally transparent, been a little bit dreading. I don't know. What's up?
People are saying, I'm echoing and I'm quiet.
Both quiet and echoing. Oh, you know what? I see precisely why that is. Everybody, give me just a second, will ya? Yep, this changed on me. Sorry, guys. Everybody, just bear with me for a minute. I would have DJ entertain you, but that would be pointless right now.
I could do interpretive dance.
I think we're good now.
Okay, I'll just keep talking and see if they enjoy my voice now better than they did earlier.
Can you hear me now? Good. Mr. Roboto says, "Okay, DJ has been silenced." No, that was not on purpose.
Yeah.
You guys just let me know if you can hear it. If you can hear DJ, okay now.
Let me know if that fixed it, guys.
So, again, this is going to be kind of a weird one, because this is one of the Marvel movies that I personally really don't care for, and that, and the first one that was really kind of tough for me to watch in the theater. Like, I just don't get this movie, and I get that a lot of people really like it, and that it's a lot of fun for people, and that I'm in the minority on this one, but DJ, I did go ahead and give it another watch. I think you did too.
I did.
And what was your verdict this time? Did you have the same experience?
Pretty much the same experience, except this time it wasn't as shocking because I was prepared for it. So it wasn't as much of a letdown, but yeah, pretty much the same.
I was really hoping that I would somehow, like, somewhat turn around on it, and I didn't. I had exactly the same experience as well. I may have disliked it even a tiny bit more. I was hoping, like, kind of knowing what I was getting myself into and everything, it might have somehow been more fun for me, and it just wasn't. There is no ulterior motive here. I did not come into this not wanting to like this movie. I know for whatever reason there's a lot of folks that when Eric and I first reviewed it, we're like, oh Cap, like you must have some, like, other reasons for not liking. No, it just doesn't work for me. I don't get it. And we'll talk about why as we go through it. Hopefully there will be a few fun, positive things to talk about here and there. I think this movie, in its way, is more entertaining than Dark World. I guess I would sort of rather watch it over Dark World, because Dark World is boring. Like, I at least didn't fall asleep watching this. So, like, there's that. But I don't know, I just can't take it seriously. So, I don't know, I just wanted to be upfront with that, because I know a lot of folks were really were curious to see if we were going to watch it again, and what the experience watching it with us was going to be like, because I know a lot of people, really liking this probably didn't want to have to watch it with a couple of bozos that are just going to dog on it the whole time. And we're just calling it like we see it, guys. So, this is not going to be like a fun bashing session. We're gonna have as much fun with it as possible, but if bashing happens, it's because that's just how we feel about it. So anyway, yeah, we gave it a shot again, and we still didn't care for it. Tyler Thompson, $2 super chat. What is your favorite part of Simonson's run? Boy, it's been a while. DJ, have you ever read any of Simonson?
I have not. I would like to read some Thor, because I'm a fantasy guy.
because I think you'll
It's
love
just those.
it.
I mean, it's intimidating, man. Those long runs, and I'm like a hardcover guy, and I would like to get them, but they're like upwards of $100 these days. I don't know. It's intimidating, but I definitely should. If I get the opportunity to, I'd love to. If that stuff's on Marvel Unlimited, I should
It
definitely
is,
do
yeah.
that. Okay,
Oh, and
I
you're
should
right. I
do
mean,
that.
it's huge. There's a lot of it because he was on that book for like what 5-6 years at least.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
no, it sounds cool. I mean, I listened to you and Dan's review of it back in the day, and it sounded awesome.
it's been so long since I've read it. It's really hard for me right now, just from memory, because it's been 4 or 5 years since I reviewed it. I think I think that or 3 or 4 years. It's hard to just pinpoint a specific section that was my favorite. I'm trying to remember. I guess one of the things I would point out is just the way the whole Balder arc ultimately resolves, because I got really bored with him and I was sick of constantly going over to his side story. And then once it resolves and it mixes with the A story, it's wonderful, and he has a really interesting arc. So that's one of the things that I would point out. And I don't know, it's easier to talk about like specific aspects of that right now, having not read it in a while. Like I love and maybe this is part of the reason that this movie is tough for me. I love the the tonal balance that he finds in that, where there's a lot of like really crazy absurd stuff that happens in that, and it's this like massive epic that gets really super dark and super serious and really layered, and yet it's the place where Frog Thor comes from. Like, that shouldn't work, and it totally does. There's a mention of that in this.
Yeah, I remember that.
But and then of course, like everybody, I love Beta Ray Bill. But yeah, all right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into this, guys. If you have access to the movie, and we certainly would suggest that you try to watch it with us, get it to timestamp 0, pass all the menus with your Blu-ray or DVD, however you want to watch it. We're watching it on Disney+. Most of the MCU is there now, except for the Spider-Man movies, which we found out last time. And I guess Incredible Hulk's not there either, which is not surprising, given the whole Universal thing. So it's kind of funny, because, and it's nice that they do this. Disney Plus has it sectioned out. There's like a couple of different ways you can find the MCU movies, and one of them is they have the phases broken up. I don't know if you saw that, DJ, where it's like, phase 1 in order, phase 2 in order, but they're missing 3 movies.
Yeah, that would be weird. I guess it wouldn't be too weird with Incredible Hulk, but the Spider-Man movies would be a little weird.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's how that's set up. We're going to go ahead and get started, so everybody get ready to press play when I say now. DJ, anything major you want to say for preamble before we get started?
No, let's push the big red button.
The big red button. Here we go. Everybody press
Actually,
play.
a white triangle button.
the kind of medium-sized triangle button on Disney Plus. Everybody please press play. Everybody ready? Right now.
All right, I think I nailed it. I think it took 4 shows in, but I nailed it when you said now. Usually, like, I have to click to get, like, I try to hit play, but it just pulls up the screen, and then I have to hit play again, and I'm a couple seconds behind. But I think I did it. I think I nailed it this time. So
I should say, as always, we'll let you guys help us direct the conversation, of course. If there is anything you want to make sure that we talk about, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount, and we'll make sure we get to that. We'll be looking at the comments periodically, so we'll try to read some pre-written stuff as well. But as always, Marvel Mania, we're just going to watch the movie and shab out with you while we go along.
Is this an original... This is an original tune, right? The Marvel logo theme isn't from any of the movies, right? It's just like a little...
No, it's its own thing. And I think it's a new one for that new logo. I don't think it's... I think it was a different song before that.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they didn't, but if they had like just taken the Avengers theme, I wouldn't be surprised, because that's that theme's so big in the universe after the first Avengers.
So it feels like at first, like, we're gonna kind of set up maybe another one of those bookend voiceover things, and I guess
the Iron Man 3 thing.
I guess I appreciate that we don't do that. Yeah, where like he's actually talking directly to somebody. And Iron Man 3 did that too. You just didn't know about it until you got to the end credits, and it turns out that he's talking to Bruce Banner, which is kind of fun.
But they just do that joke much quicker.
But here he's actually not even telling the story of the movie. He's just giving Surtur kind of a recap.
We're just giving the skeleton guy a recap.
Oh, no, that's true. He's talking to that skeleton guy. Yeah. That was in all the trailers. And I was going to the movies a lot right then, so I saw Thor fall on those chains like 6 billion times.
Wow. See, I'm going to say this. I don't watch trailers, saw nothing for this movie, had no idea what it was going in. And this scene was just like, like, I immediately was just like, oh, what are we... Like, when he just starts, like, being dumb and, like, interrupting, and, like, I was like, oh, man, what is happening? Because I had no idea what...
And it's real consistent, because it does that kind of awkward humor all the way through, constantly undercutting things with jokes, and sometimes, like, really serious, important moments. Where it's like, it feels like you have, I've said this before with other things, it feels like you have dramatic relief in this movie, where it's a comedy, but then occasionally we have a little bit of drama just to break that up some.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like, this movie really feels like, I don't even know if I can say this expression on Geeklution, but it feels like this movie is made by someone who doesn't think comic books or superheroes are cool. And the only way you can make him cool is to just take the piss out of him, like, every chance he gets. Like, I don't know how to say that any other way, but, like, he's just, it's like, oh, look, they're going to do something cool. Nope. Isn't that stupid? Aren't they dumb? Like, it kills it every time for me. And I remember some big ones from the first time I watched it, but watching it again this weekend, I was like, oh, there's even more than I remember. Like,
oh, and a song I didn't even realize that was Clancy Brown.
Because he is in the first 3 minutes and then the last 2 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, so I was really stoked for this movie based on the trailers. The tone that it seemed like they were setting, or at least the trailers were trying to make you think that it was maybe going to be what I was feeling like as I watched those trailers. This seemed like a really exciting prospect, where it's like we're gonna do Ragnarok. We're gonna have this really bleak, end of the world kind of story based on the mostly the Simonson run, and then but the approach we're going to take, the spin we're going to run with, is it's like metal. And I thought that was such a cool idea, where we're going to have, like, you know, this like hard rock metal soundtrack, and that would be like kind of the thing it took from Guardians, where, you know, it didn't feel like it was going to be like a comedy, like a Guardians-esque comedy, like this kind of ends up being, except I don't think that the comedy is anything like as well integrated as it is with Guardians. Like, Guardians is a comedy, but it's a dramedy. It's not a straight up comedy. Like, there's a lot, like the tone is light and comedic, but the story is always first. And we talk about this a lot with Guardians 2. Guardians 2 is a little bit closer to this, but it doesn't go anything like as far as this does, as far as the comedy just completely taking over. And I was disappointed, because the tone I got from that trailer is not what I got from this movie. And so, like, this scene with this song, and this was one of the songs in the trailer, is kind of sort of doing that, but it immediately... and I guess I appreciate that it lets you know what you're getting yourself into right up front. I mean, like with the way Thor is acting at the beginning, it immediately says, like, this is going to be kind of a farce, you guys.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess I can give it that. Like, at least it tells you right away. And that did set the tone, because I was like, whoa, what's happening? It took me a little bit. I guess it really cements it with the very next scene, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Like the play.
Yeah.
Which is right after this.
And we'll talk about
it's
that.
Like, oh.
Because another thing that it immediately establishes is I don't know how I want to put it. We're either going to let characters be wildly out of characters so that we can, just kind of have a bunch of comedy sketches and tie them together with a cookie-cutter plot that's, like, really, really, really loosely based on Simonson's Ragnarok story. Or you can look at it as we're completely reinventing these characters for the same reason. And it turns out the same any way you slice it.
Yeah. Sad that we wasted this actor.
Yeah, my complaint is not that. Yeah, and I mean his character arc, such as it is I think like just really kind of shallow. Like it's the obvious thing to do with it, and it's taking any of the nuance that you had with the Scourge character and leaving it on the cutting room floor, where it's just like here's a guy that really loves killing people, and then he's gonna have the big self-sacrifice and show that he's actually got a lot of compassion by the end. Like, that's sort of what Scourge was, but I mean, this just like with so much in this, it takes all the meat out of it.
Yeah, and Carl Urban's so great. It's just, I wish he would have got a great character in the MCU, or a great movie to be in.
Charlie says the play is pretty funny. So the humor in this is going to be really subjective. So a lot of people, of course, find this really funny, and this is kind of their humor. This is, in my mind, some of the Marvel humor that would occasionally kind of take me out of a movie dialed up to 11, and like the entire movie is that now. And I was not as critical of that as a lot of people were even. But even I had a hard time with the whole movie of that stuff. It's especially the improv humor, and again the awkward humor. And I realized that Iron Man was shot that way, where like a lot of it wasn't scripted and it was really improvised. But it just doesn't seem to me like Hemsworth is as good at it as Downey is.
Yeah, and this, and I don't think any of the actors are good at it. How do you, and I feel bad for Hiddleston and Ruffalo in this one.
Ruffalo especially. Yep.
Not used to the improv or what?
Sorry, DJ, I lost you for just a second. Can you hear me? DJ?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, my face. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you dropped out for a minute. And then for about 30 seconds, your face was just this.
I saw that when it came back. That was a perfect place to freeze.
But anyway, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it must be on my end. I don't know why I'm dropping out. It's annoying.
If that keeps happening, you might want to drop out and come back in.
Yeah, I can always do that if it does. But yeah, here we go. He got green slime thrown at him.
Yay! It's our Nickelodeon moment.
Hilarious.
and so much of the physical humor is like that for me. None of that plays for me. One of the I guess I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'll just go ahead and mention it now. One of the things that kind of drives me bonkers is the 19 times, and that's almost not an exaggeration, that Thor gets electrocuted. It wasn't funny the first time, and it just keeps going. I'm like, why do we keep doing that?
I don't know why they think it's funny. And there was a little bit of that in the first Thor movie, but this like amps it, like the horrible humor, like where he gets like tased in the first Thor movie, like they're hitting him with a van. It's like that dumb humor, like this whole movie.
I was gonna say, and that van thing, it never bothered me that much because it was few and far between. There wasn't so much of it, and it didn't feel like we were doing that to make Thor look like an idiot. Like his character arc was he's acting like an imbecile because he's so full of himself, and he gets out of that at some point. And you notice he's completely differently characterized in Dark World, and I don't think there's enough charm to the character in that movie. It shines through in a couple of scenes, but he's taking things seriously, and like he feels like the guy that went through the arc he had in the first movie. He's completely regressed in this to something unrecognizable and a cartoon character, and yeah,
he's just like a college, I think, like a college,
like frat boy or something,
bro. Yeah. It seems like, and I don't know how it actually is, but it's from watching it, it seems like Hemsworth was like, "Hey, I want to make the jokes that Iron Man and Star-Lord are making. Let me do those." And they were like, "That's not your character, dude." He's like, "I don't care. It'll be fine. I'll do it anyway."
It would be really interesting, and I haven't looked at any of the behind the scenes on this movie. It would be really interesting to see what the tone on the set was like, and what the atmosphere was, and what the director was saying like between takes. Because the sense I get, and again I don't know this, but the sense I get was like, oh, that'll be really funny. Let's do that. Like nearly every scene is like a lot of stuff that maybe wasn't on the page that was just, well, we've got to really punch this up, because either it's going to be too bleak for general audiences to really enjoy, or I suspect more it's because we still just have not figured out what this series is. Well, people thought the last one was boring and it didn't perform as well as we were hoping it would, so how do we like really get people on board? Oh, I know, Guardians was really popular. Let's get, you know, more of a comedic tone, more of a comedic director, and I don't know, man. This is just me, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody when I'm not pulling my punches, but I'm not going to pull punches. It reeks of desperation to me, and somehow succeeded. That's what it feels like to me, where it's like we every time we're just really not sure what to do with this character, and this is the one franchise they have where they seem really worried that playing it, and in some ways we do play it really straight, especially visually with that first movie, especially. But it's like we're afraid to let it have you know, too much meat and to be too serious and to have too much of the, like, you know, Asgard politics and regal stuff and all of that, because we're afraid we're going to bore people, or that it's not going to be enough of a superhero movie, that we can't like fit this into the superhero formula. Yeah, so like how do we do that?
I don't understand how Game of Thrones was going on during this movie series and it still didn't, like, they proved you can play sword and sorcery like completely straight and people will love it if you do it right. I don't get why they're so scared of it. I guess it's a different audience.
I don't know if Blue Dragon 5 is responding to somebody else or what, but I'll go ahead and read this comment because a lot of people are talking about it. He says, what's wrong with the Avengers rubbing off on Thor, given he is a learning character since the first Thor film? I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I'm okay with Thor making like references to some stuff on Earth and starting to integrate some of the vernacular and all of that. But he shouldn't be a bumbling fool, and that's what he seems like through most of this movie.
And also, this movie forgets that Thor's like hundreds of years old.
In a lot of ways. And he's only
been with the Avengers for a couple years. And it wouldn't change, like, fundamentally who he is. Like, you can't make even a 50-year-old person change how they talk or change. Like, he's just like, it's like he grew up in the 90s now. And he's, like, acting like a complete, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's not even the character he was in the other two movies. It's not like we're having a comic book accuracy problem. He's I don't understand how people are just on board with like a totally different character from the last time we saw him. Like, even Age of Ultron was the last time we saw him, and he's super completely different. He's like all in the pool, like taking it super seriously, talking about the Infinity Stones and all that stuff, and now he's just like, I don't know.
He has a couple of weird moments in Avengers that a lot of people complained about under Whedon's pen, where he gets, I don't know if airheaded is the right word, but he'll start, you know, making fun of like those lowly, puny mortals, and he's got a couple of those weird moments, and this is like that, but a whole movie. And it would be interesting to know how many folks that this movie really spoke to, whether or not they really like Avengers, or if they had some of the same complaints with that movie.
Yeah.
Because like, I didn't mind that too much with Avengers because it was so few and far between. I got what people were saying with it, but it wasn't really a big problem for me. And then this is just a totally different character. I think and again, I want him to be charming. I want this character to have a sense of humor. I want him to be what he was in that first movie, because I thought he was brilliant there. And I don't love that movie. I think it's a little mediocre. But the characterization is fantastic.
Charming is the word. He should be like a prince. Like, he should be suave, and charismatic. Yeah, that's what he should be. He shouldn't be like the loud kid, the class clown who like falls down and makes everyone laugh. Like, that's a completely different.
And I felt like the moments in that first movie where he's kind of oafish, and you notice he's not like that at all in Dark World. There's not one moment of that I can recall in Dark World. And I don't even like that movie, but like it didn't have that problem. But the places where he's a little oafish in that first movie, I feel like were all about how he's too full of himself and he's overconfident. And he's still able to carry the hammer right now. You know, like, he's still worthy.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't get it. But anyway, we talked over the whole play and all of that. I don't understand why Loki was so good at pretending to be Odin at the end of the last movie, and he can't even begin to fake it here.
Yeah, he's just goofing off, like eating grapes out of people's hands, and the whole planet is dumbed down to be complete morons that just watch this goofy play and cheer and clap and like.
Which makes it really hard to care about them when they lose their whole planet at the end. Yeah. You know, like if the moral of this story is the whole, like, you know, a society is not the land, it's the people. Asgard is not is not a realm, it's the people. It'd be nice if I cared about them, and it'd be nice if I knew anything like, you know, more than I did from the last two movies. Like, once again, we don't explore the culture at all. We're not hardly spending any time with any of these people, minus, you know, a couple of token characters. We kill the Warriors 3 as soon as possible and in like the most pathetic way imaginable. It's awful.
Yeah, that's this whole movie is like, I wish I cared about anything that was like you said, the Warriors 3, Odin dying, the Warriors 3 dying, all this big stuff is happening and it's wasted in this movie.
But yeah, one of the reasons I think Loki's so out of character, it's not just that everything's dumbed down. It's that he's that surprised to see Thor that he can't even keep it together and keep pretending to be Odin. Like, he was ready for that at the end of the last movie. And it's not like he thinks Thor's dead or something. Like, yeah, he's not going to expect him to walk in at any moment, but he should have contingencies. He should be prepared for that. And Loki is, you know, kind of a master manipulator. He's smarter than
he's
that.
Calculated. He's the most calculated character we got in the MCU. He should be ready for any outcome.
And wouldn't it be interesting to see, like, what he would want to see that society look like how he thinks he can benefit it beyond just he pretends to keep being Odin, but he puts up a statue of himself and he makes everybody like sing the praises of Loki. That's Saturday morning cartoon stuff, guys. Like I want to see what he's like as a ruler. And I want the movie to make a case that he may not be a terrible ruler. Or if it's not going to do that, do something interesting with it.
Yeah, and I said, this is what I said. I don't want to cut out.
I don't know. I don't want to write a story they didn't want to write. That's maybe not entirely fair, but like, but Loki.
Yeah, that scene just seems like they want to get rid of that plot thread as fast as they can, and
as fast as possible. They just didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
They don't want to do the Asgard stuff. And they picked the wrong material, and I suspect that's because the material was chosen for them. I'd love to see the first draft of the script, because my guess is it starts from, well, we got to do Ragnarok because that's the next obvious place to go, and then somebody comes in with a drastically different vision that has zilch to do with this premise, and then they put all of that on top of this premise.
I've heard that, and I don't know how true this is, but I've heard that Taika Waititi didn't like the script, and just that's why it was all improv, because they just kind of threw it out. And
if that's the case, don't do Ragnarok. I just feel like this tone and the improv and a lot of the like extra aside from the end of the world story points that we do in this is just absurdly inappropriate for this material.
And we just missed. We talked over the scene. The only character who's in character in this movie, that's Doctor Strange. He's in character, but he's in it for like 30 seconds.
I guess you could make the case that Odin is too, but that's just because I never fully get a great handle on him anyway.
Yeah, but then they completely ruin his character and say that he was evil the whole time, and then we don't even address it.
Oh, well, that's true. That's a good point. I mean, you could just say that that's an extension of the moral ambiguity, and I guess you could make the argument that he's not totally evil. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, we just don't get enough about it. We just hear, like, Hela's version, and then I don't even think Thor learns about it. Thor's not even there when she explains. She explains it to the bald guy.
But you're right. The performance with Doctor Strange is really good. It's just it just watches like another excuse to have some pratfall humor and that kind of thing. Like when you look at the after credit scene that established him, I think it was at the end of Age of Ultron. That was kind of an exciting looking meeting. It was like, oh, that's fun. He's going to sit down. And also, that was a big deal because that's the first place where you see Doctor Strange's yellow gloves. You're like, yes, he got the gloves. And like, I guess filling the beer glass and all of that is kind of fun. But it's just not an especially well written scene.
Yeah, he just needs to teleport him to this place. Boy, he waited right till the last minute, didn't he? to tell them, right? They're literally dying in like 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Odin ultimately does not make a whole lot of sense. I don't understand the way, and through all three movies, it's not just this. Like, that's been one of my biggest complaints. And not that he's morally ambiguous, just that I don't, because that's interesting, and that's how he was in the comics too. But I just don't understand why he makes some of the crazy choices he makes. You know, I don't know why I've always said this, and some folks don't agree with me, but I stand by this. I don't understand why he pits his sons against each other as they're growing up, knowing full well that one of them is adopted and, doesn't really deserve the throne, arguably, and then I don't understand why in the second movie he can't go out and fight his own war. Like there's no discussion about his health or anything. Like why can't he leave and go deal with Malekith? Why does it even talk about that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so weird after.
It's easy to blame him for everything. And then with the Hela thing, it's really easy to blame him for everything.
It's so weird after you kill a character and play the sappy music and we're supposed to feel bad about it, then you immediately say that he was this horrible person and there's no one left to even defend him or explain it or anything. It's like, it's so weird.
And that he literally buried the past by putting
by
putting a lying ceiling in front of the ceiling that told the truth, or at least like left out some things.
Yeah, we'll just hide it right in plain sight. No one will ever see. This will never fall.
I rolled my eyes at that so hard.
It's
such a crazy choice. This is another one of those things where casting is not really the problem in this movie. I mean, I guess I kind of nothing Tessa Thompson in this. I think she's an okay actress, but like that character was not especially compelling to me. But this is a great choice for Hela. Just once again, I wish we gave her anything to do.
She did this movie. She's like a esteemed actress. This is like you called her Rita Repulsa. Like she has nothing.
And she is Rita Repulsa. Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what she is.
The choice for her background is interesting, and I don't mind it. I just wish she wasn't so one-note. Now, don't get me wrong. She's not Malekith. I mean, she's more memorable than that, certainly, at least in the performance.
Yeah.
Like, if she has to be a cartoon character, at least she's kind of fun and over the top, right? Like, I'll give it that. And if they wanted to go for a more fun and over-the-top tone, that's fine. It just, again... It shouldn't be like a bunch of sketch comedy and then, oh yeah, we blow up Asgard, you know, like even for that kind of thing, we're not taking it seriously enough. I just feel like Thor is so like completely flippant, like all through this entire movie. You know the place, I'm jumping around, I meant to say this earlier, but DJ, you know the place where we really, I always thought that was a fun move though, that like she treats her headdress like it's hair, it's like pushes it back and then it pops out. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, she puts it on like it's only when she's fighting.
She goes into battle mode.
Yeah,
she's like Ninja.
Super Dino mode.
Yeah, you're right. It's more like Super Dino mode. Exactly. But anyway, the place where we strike that balance perfectly is Infinity War, which is really sad because then with Thor, which is really sad because then Endgame will go right back to this again with him, of course, with the whole Fat Thor thing. But with Infinity War, he's doing what maybe they think they're doing in this, where he'll diffuse tense situations with humor, and he's somewhat go with the flow when he's not letting stuff bother him too much after like a really traumatic experience, and his sense of humor is very much to the forefront, but he's not flippant. He's taking stuff seriously. Like the scenes with him in the Milano with the Guardians, I think really work in that, and those are comedy scenes, but he's back to character again. We find that balance, and the balance that was there in the first movie, and this doesn't have that.
Yeah, I think the Russos reined him in. Well, I say that, but they also directed the second one, so I don't know. It seems like he's just an actor who just doesn't want to do the same thing. You know how there's those actors that don't want to play the character the same way, even though it's the same character. They just want to do something different. Each movie.
Again, I'm not there. I don't want to presume to know more than I know. I want to blame it on the directors. Because Chris Hemsworth does not strike me as a guy who walks in, struts his stuff, and says, I'm going to do it my way. He strikes me as a guy who is directed.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm right about that, but that's what what it's always felt like going all the way through. And that seems consistent with the way certain movies like choose to play that character. You're right that the Russos are doing both Infinity War and Endgame, but you also have to remember that different directors or I should say writers for different movies allegedly came in Infinity War and probably Endgame and wrote their character scenes. So you may have Gunn to thank for the way Thor is characterized somewhat in Infinity War. I don't know that for sure, but that may be more Gunn than anything, because he may have written the Guardian scenes. And dispute me if you know for sure I'm wrong about that, but that is a thing that I have heard here and there that may have happened with that movie.
There is a little bit of that. It is a little bit of him not wanting to play the character, I think, just because like he's goofing around. Like, yeah, he's goofing around a lot, and that could be inspired by the director. But like, was it written that he had to get like a haircut? Because it feels like he just didn't want to wear the wig anymore. Okay. Didn't want to wear the cape. Didn't want to wear the cost. Like, just wanted to just kind of have more fun. I don't know. That's obviously totally just reading.
You think that's movie, like the Mystique is less blue in every movie thing?
Yeah, totally. Or she's just wearing like a Halloween costume by the end of it.
With Jennifer, what's her
like,
face?
There's no reason for him to. Like, why'd they have to cut his hair before he fights in the arena? Like, this is the first like human even fighter. Everyone else is like a rock monster or like a slug.
That's a good point.
It's not like they all have to get haircuts before they go in and lose their capes. And
that never bothered me. I don't know that it would have you as much if it had, if again it struck the tone that it felt like the trailers were going for. If it had that metal thing, it's metal Thor, and that's kind of fun. I don't mind that at all. I also think it's really funny that Stan Lee's the guy who cuts his hair. I don't know why that's funny, but it is.
Stan Lee makes everything better.
Well, just like the guy who created this character, or at least for the MCU. What's up?
Take a drink. He's been electrocuted.
Oh, yep. Here we go.
I should have brought something to drink.
You should have brought something, yeah.
We'd be wasted if we drank every time he got electrocuted, though.
Well, that's true. It'd be, especially if we took shots, man. If we're taking shots, we're done. We're on the floor at the end of this movie.
Remember how nobody can be cool or serious? Here we go.
Okay,
here's the same joke for the 6th time.
So I have a question for you. Is Valkyrie actually drunk in this scene or not? You be the judge.
She committed pretty hard if she's not, because she just fell into a pile of metal trash.
Well, here's the thing. It's complicated. This is the thing that I picked up on this viewing that really kind of bugged me. So she walks out, and she is drinking, and she drops off, and then all of a sudden, she has no problem taking these guys out with, like, perfect accuracy. And it watches to me, on at least this last viewing, like she's pretending to be drunk so that they won't expect that, and that plays okay, especially if that's the point, because I don't think the actress is doing a very good job playing drunk. Like, I'm not buying she's drunk, and so if the character's pretending that, then I buy it more. But then the more you go through the film,
she also just shoots them with like a giant death ray, so
it seems
she
like
could probably function.
It seems like the point is supposed to be that she's always drunk. Like, when you get later in the movie, she has an alcohol problem. So then I'm like, okay, was she pretending? Would she even be capable of pretending? She has an alcohol problem. She's always drinking. So I don't know. Yeah. So then that makes me think Tessa Thompson's just terrible at pretending to be drunk, because she doesn't seem drunk now, and she frankly didn't before either. So I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like, and I'm going to reference a super chat that we didn't get earlier. TH1 said,
yeah, thanks, man.
He said the chain started spinning on set, and instead of doing the scene again, they just said, yeah, let's go with it. Exactly what that scene feels like. Just like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if she fell off? Bring a mattress in. We'll have the stunt woman fall off. Like, it just seems like, yeah, like you said earlier, they're just playing around on set, and whatever works, or whatever they think works.
I just don't think they're taking it seriously enough. Again, for this material, this isn't that movie. You can get away with that in Guardians more. It still depends on what story you're telling in that, of course.
That's those characters are...
I guess what I'm saying is, if I'm making a Guardians movie, I would take those opportunities more often. But if I'm making a Thor movie, especially with this particular story,
There's two.
Especially with
my wife,
man,
by the way, my wife just
and I have spilled my beer everywhere. Apparently, that's good.
Oh, I'll get you some more. My wife just messaged me. Apparently, she's watching. She said, "Hey, if you want to get wasted, I'll bring you a drink up."
Thanks, Grace. That would help me out a lot. I'd love it if we were on the same even playing field with that.
I'll have to take two when it comes up.
Why is it that every space movie has to have that scene with somebody's face pressed up against the glass? Stop it! It's not funny.
It seemed like they thought that was funny too. I don't know. Just because it's Thor, and his face is squished.
DJ, hold the fort for a second. I'm gonna go get something to clean this up with. I'll be right back.
Okay, Frank. Cat made a mess, guys. You're stuck with me for a minute. Oh, and the last of the Warriors 3. This scene is sad. I like this guy. He's super cool. He kind of acts like a cartoon character in this scene, though. Like he's for some reason amps up his accent a ton that he's putting on in this scene. What's going on, guys, in the chat? Solar Dragon. Maybe so, Solar Dragon. He says this movie would be fun to watch stoned. Have not tried it, but we'll see. Let me know how it goes for you.
Sorry about that. It's a Mania.
Yeah. It's a Mania. So do you agree with me that this actor is like acting like a cartoon character too all of a sudden? He's like doing this like really amped up accent.
Yes, but more to the point, am I remembering this wrong? Didn't he leave to his own home planet last movie?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't live here anymore. Am I thinking of somebody else? I thought that was him.
Maybe so. I wouldn't be surprised. They don't care about the continuity.
Have we already killed off the other two yet, or does that happen later?
No, that happened as soon as she got here. She killed him off.
Dude, so here's what's crazy. That happens. I'm not even exaggerating when I say how fast that happens. And let me say part of the reason. Thanks, Grace. Part of the reason I hate that is because, of course, I like the Warriors 3 in the comics. Sif, by the way, is nowhere to be found, and I don't think she's even mentioned in the movie. Like I don't think she ever comes up. But I love Sif in the Warriors 3 in the comics.
Save her.
Especially Sif and especially Volstagg. And they get some cool stuff to do through Simonson. But we never really do much with them at all. Like the coolest thing we ever do with Sif is in an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode. That's one of the best episodes of the first season.
He's hanging out with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm not exaggerating this. I had to get up and walk across the room and grab something and come back. Like all of 10, 12 seconds while I was watching this last time in preparation for this, right? And missed the killing of the other two Warriors 3. Had to roll it back and was like, it happens that fast.
It's so dumb. Like, why? Why do we have to take them out? It's like this it's like they just don't want to play with the toys they were given, and they're just like throwing them in the trash and bringing their own toys.
That's exactly right.
Sandbox.
I
forgot about
how
him.
I feel about
He's
Last Jedi too.
I don't. It's not just Doctor Strange. I think Heimdall's in character.
No, Heimdall's in character. I mean,
it's great.
It would be. I want to say it would be really hard to get him out of character, but I guess they'd succeed at that with everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, Loki's ridiculous in this movie. I didn't think they could do that.
The two major characters they actually want to deal with, right?
Okay, as a big Wonka fan, like me, how much did this bother you?
Well, it doesn't make sense.
This is the MCU. We don't. This is space. What we don't have. Like, is this just for our benefit? Because if so, we don't do that in the MCU. We don't just play music from other movies.
I get the sense that he is supposed to be so eccentric and quirky that he's actually playing this. The problem is, has he ever been to Earth? Does he know anything about our culture?
Like, just a big Wonka fan, and he got the instrumental version.
I would be okay with it if there was a line about it, maybe. I don't even mean that I need a line about Willy Wonka, but just something about how, like, he's taken things from different cultures, and, like, he's... Thor, like we need other humans that have been through the Contest of Champions, right? Like, that's... We need to have a sense of that. Now, I realize that Hulk is there, but it's just Hulk. It's not like Hulk's going around humming, Pure Imagination. Although that would be kind of funny.
That would actually be kind of funny,
The world of my creation. And then Hulk's got a big stick. He's going downstairs, and he like stops people from walking down a staircase
with his giant axe these double axes that he has.
So I was really excited for Goldblum. Goldblum is certainly full-on Goldblum. I'll give him that. But what we're finding is that he, like everybody else, not the greatest improv comedian. Maybe it turns out that everything he wrote was scripted. If so, it's even worse because the lines aren't great. It's so awkward. And I mean, I'm gonna say that over and over again. But like, he just keeps saying things. I'm like, it's not funny. I don't get why we're wasting time. So much of this feels like a waste of time.
Well, Goldblum needs to be like the antithesis to everyone around him, but everyone's doing that, so he doesn't stand out at all. It's just like doing what everyone else is doing. Like usually Goldblum catches you off guard with that kind of humor because he's in like Jurassic Park where everybody's being super serious.
That's a great point. Everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah, there's no straight man.
And I get a consistent brand of humor, but the individual characters have to be about some different things, right? You got to have people playing, a straight man, an eccentric, an over the top weirdo, a fully, no nonsense, never says anything funny. I mean, you have that with Heimdall, but he's never in a comedy scene.
Oh, electrocution.
God bless America. I'm gonna start saying God bless Asgard this commentary, I think.
Yeah, isn't it hilarious that he pronounces the ass part of Asgard?
It's hilarious.
This director apparently thinks it is hilarious because in the beginning, the guy pronounced the ass part of Texas.
Yeah, he does it with everything.
It's supposed to be so funny.
And again, it reads like somebody coming in who just goes, I don't like this material, I don't get this material, I'm just gonna bring my own thing to it, and it just seems a little bit, I don't know, to me kind of disrespectful to the material. He's also gone on record with the next movie to say like, yeah, I don't read comic books, I don't care about any of that, and
why do it, man? I guess it pays well. I don't know. I heard someone say that he said for the next one he wants to make what a 10-year-old he wants to ask a 10-year-old what they would want to be in a superhero movie and then just do that, which is this movie. So I guess that tracks.
Dash and Scan says my sense of humor is busted. I mean, it's humor again is a subjective thing.
It's subjective, yeah.
But even if I found this stuff hilarious, I wouldn't want it in this movie. Like, make a different movie. Now, it doesn't. It hurts my enjoyment of it, certainly, even on just a pure, comedy level. Like, it's the same. It's kind of the same thing I have with new Star Trek. It's like, if they wanted to make something that was completely not Star Trek at all and was bleak and depressing and kind of like, every other dystopian science fiction thing right now, but it was really good, I could watch it and go, okay, I can enjoy this for what it is, but it's not Star Trek. But what they're trying to do is also not good in its own right, and that's how I feel about this.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not that it's different. It's what you always say. It's not that it's different. It's that it's different and not great.
Yeah, and I want to make that distinction because I'm also not just on about it because it's not doing, Simonson straight up. It's not interested in Simonson, so why adapt it? And if it had what it thought was cooler or equally interesting, but on a different path, ideas, sure. But the stuff here with the Contest of Champions and Goldblum and everything is really frustrating to me because it's too much of the bulk of the movie and it feels like a side quest. Like, why is this what we're spending so much of the movie on? Like, so many genre shows have the underground Fight Club episode, right? The like somebody gets kidnapped and gets thrown in an arena and forced to fight, and they always end the same way. And this does too. We tear down that system at the end, and everybody gets their freedom, and it's a big criticism of slavery and using people for your own ends and pretending like you're on a different playing field than everybody else, like you're superior. Okay, fine. We wasted 40 minutes of Ragnarok on that?
Yeah, that was my big takeaway from this viewing was like we were like almost to the end and we were still here. I didn't realize how much nothing happens in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, we just get dropped on this planet and we take the whole movie and we get off and then it's over. Like,
and it's Saturday Night Live pacing.
Yeah, it's so goofy.
I was kind of beside myself because I saw that little, and I forget where I even saw it. I think they were playing it like before movies in the theater or something. There's like this 5 or 8 minute sketch that was supposed to be like what Thor and Banner are doing between movies. I don't know if you ever saw that. And it was just this goofy clowning around like improv comedy thing. And I was like, well, that's cute, that's fun. I'm glad that's not how they make the movies. And then we got 2 hours of it. Like that's what they made. It's like, oh, that was a primer.
That was a prequel. I'm gonna get caught up on super chats real quick because we're not missing anything except for Corey being silly. Can I make one
quick point before you do that?
Absolutely.
I just want to say that I love Goldblum and I was excited that he was in this. The Grandmaster is too much of a retread of the Collector. He's like a more bombastic, like lighthearted, or at least pretending to be lighthearted Collector. It's too much of that same idea again.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we got quite a bit of super chats I'm going to catch up on. TH1 says, this planet has a real world war from Justice League, from the daughter feel Draga fights for honor. Great show, guys. So he was saying the same thing. You said that every genre show has this episode, and I've seen that Justice League episode. I think that's the only Justice League episode I've seen, by the way. I don't know how I saw that.
Smallville did it. Birds of Prey did it. Star Trek Voyager did it with The Rock in his very first acting gig. Wow. Sunkatsu. Yeah, like everything does this. And we had to put it in a movie and make it this much of the movie? Like, this would have been fine if it was a series of adventures, and I think in 2 hours you could potentially do that. Like, do an encapsulation of Hero's journey. Let him go to hell via some other weird things he has to do. And I would have liked it so much more, but the pacing is so uneven and it's so bloated, right? Like, that should have been 10 minutes. And you could have done, or 15, and you could have done 3, would you agree with that? 3 or 4 of those would have been fine. You Underground Fight Club, and then he goes to, I don't know, maybe some kind of, like, sky planet, and you do some kind of adventure in the clouds. Like, there's so many different things you could do, and have it be like a season of television in a film. And then he gets, you bookend it with, he leaves his home, he has to go on this adventure, he learns something. It'd be nice if he learned something, right? It'd be nice if he had like a character arc and an opportunity for change. He doesn't. And then, he goes through all that, and then he gets back home, and now, armed with what he's learned, he can take care of Hela. Like, It writes itself. It's still not Ragnarok, but I mean, it could have been. It could have still sort of been Ragnarok, but I mean, that would have been. That could have been great. I don't know.
Yeah. Tyler Thompson wants to know our favorite Goldblum performances. So we should probably answer that before we get too far away from Goldblum.
It's still definitely Jurassic Park for me, and as not good as the script is, I do love him in Independence Day. I don't care what anybody says.
I think maybe the only thing I've seen him in is Jurassic Park. Oh, and Cats and Dogs, the classic Cats and Dogs. Everybody seen that? He's the dad in that. He's a scatterbrained, terrible father.
Okay, so somebody, and this is not the first time we've done this. I guess we like to keep throwing in the gauntlet prematurely until we finally decide what the gauntlet's going to be, and then it makes no sense that there's ever been one, even like a pretend one. Like, why is there a fake gauntlet? Has anybody ever put the gems together before and put the stones together before and put them in a glove?
Yeah, it was like, that was so dumb because it was just like, they're like, oh, we got to fix continuity. It was here in the first movie, so let's make a joke about it being a fake, but like, that doesn't make any more sense. Then you just made it worse. It
actually made it worse with that in my mind. But yeah, so that scene's really silly. And then we didn't talk about that whole exposition thing with the ceiling. I guess we brought it up earlier, but that whole thing drives me kind of crazy. That he just literally has a ceiling in front of a ceiling so that we can easily get that exposition in that scene.
Hey, Caleb H knows Cats and Dogs.
What's interesting about Hela's backstory is that she is oddly, and I've never been sure. Well, that looks very 2017 Rita Repulsa. It was funny because it's the same year. I want to make some other allusions.
And that movie, she'll just resurrect this ghost army, and they'll just stand around. for the rest of the movie until they need to fight.
Oh, they're putties.
Yeah.
And then, but I guess Surtur is not Goldar. That's a different thing.
Oh yeah, at least he looks better than Goldar. Goldar's a Play-Doh man. It's terrible.
But I've never been totally sure how intentional this was, but it sure watches like somebody read this stuff. She's a fusion of the Queen of Hela in the comics and Marvel Angela, who is Thor's sister and comes from the 10th realm.
Oh wow. That must be what they were thinking. Weird.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice, and I don't have a problem with it. I just wish the character herself, there was more to her, because it's just a straight up revenge plot. She's basically Loki from the first movie again, but less interesting.
But less, yeah. There's no emotional connection at all. Like I loved Loki in that first movie, because he has like I guess she has a reason too, but we just don't get to feel it at all.
And I probably just missed something, and I'm forgetting what is it that like brought her out of hiding? It was something about what Thor does at the beginning, but I can't remember.
No, Odin died. He was the one keeping her.
Oh, and then that's what. Okay, I forgot.
No, it would have been better if she came up in like a silver hand with a purple egg, and we found out she was locked in there for 10,000
years. Yeah. And then she complains about how she missed the Brady Bunch reunion. The Black Plague!
While we're talking about that would have fit right in this movie, right? Like, if this was a Power Rangers movie, we would be totally fine with it. Because the humor is about on Power Rangers level.
Well, yeah, this would be an epic Power Rangers movie.
Yeah, this is basically a Power Rangers movie.
Still not as good of a Power Rangers movie as Rise of Skywalker, though. I still say that's a better Power Rangers movie.
That's the fetch quest kind of thing you're talking about, just jumping from planet to planet. So maybe that, I mean, not
yes,
like
but you could make it work and more cohesive, and not feel like we're jumping around for no reason. No, I'm not going to use that as an example of what this should have done. No, and I'm also not saying Rise of Skywalker is a better movie than this.
Captain Logan in the chat gives us a super chat. Thanks, Captain Logan.
I did not give myself a super chat. Okay.
Captain Logan says, "Well, if you said this, it's hilarious. You said, watch the behind the scenes, ignorant fools."
Hey, he sounds like a Power Rangers villain. Ignorant fools. Yeah, Mania was generally us coming into these with as much knowledge as we already had, and just chatting about it, off the cuff and real laid back. We have been rewatching the movies for these just because we haven't seen them as much. And I mean, I guess that first Marvel Mania, it was an experiment. I mean, we went into some of those even blind, me and Eric, but this one we've got more time in between, so it's been easier for me to sit down and watch them. And I don't know, watching this live with people, I felt better. Yeah, I went back and forth about whether I do that. So far, I have done it with everyone. I'm not even promising I'll keep doing that. So far, that's what we've been doing.
Not knowing how they made this wouldn't make me feel any better. Like, it's still really not fun to watch.
No, I mean, I could have more respect for certain things about it if I saw, like what happened behind like the visual artistry of it. I guess like I had that with Dark Knight Rises a little bit, but it didn't fix any of my story issues with that movie. You know what I mean? Because like I think this movie looks pretty good. Wow, speaking of Power Rangers, that guy in the helmet.
Yeah,
look at that guy in the helmet.
Yeah, look at that.
That is a Power Rangers villain, is what that is.
So here's them forgetting everything, like how old Thor is, or like this doesn't make any sense. I was talking with Austin about this. He pointed this out to me, like him just going off and Hemsworth improvising right here and just like, oh, it's about time we had a team of women. He literally says about time. They were all dead before Thor was born. Like, what is he talking about? Why is he acting like it's some modern day women's feminism thing?
Yeah, and I get that he spent time on Earth, but I don't get that he'd be at that place with it. Even, with like, modern progressive feminism and all that, like, or that he would even think that she'd know what the heck he was talking about, because she's not from Earth. Yeah. She's
Asgardian too. She's hundreds of years old, and like he grew up knowing. He just said he grew up knowing about the Valkyries. He wouldn't have this modern women's being suppressed view of the world because he grew up with the Valkyrie, and they were like the woman army.
Yeah, like are women even suppressed at all in their society?
No, Lady Sif is just as high of a ranking as all the other.
Yeah, like it seems like they figured that out thousands of years before we did.
It's just like I think it was just
and are maybe farther along on it than we are. Like I don't get that.
It just sounded like a funny thing that Hemsworth said on the day, and they kept it in.
Solar Dragon says they're that lazy. OAW says #pandering. I mean, I can't disagree with that. That's what it feels like.
TH1 says, I feel like they should be stepping on him, not it. I don't know what he meant by that. Clarify with that super chat, Tom. Spell check.
J-Man says, I'll be honest, CGI Hulk doesn't look that great in this film. I thought he looked okay.
I never liked this Hulk.
I think I'm just saying as far as the effect goes, I mean, like, it seems consistent with Avengers and Age of Ultron, and I realize it's 5 years after Avengers, so maybe it should look better at this point. But I mean,
it's probably
it feels
weird
consistent.
because
I don't feel like they phoned it in or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably weirder for people that he's talking and like walking around and doing like goofy things. Like it might be just more easier to swallow when he's just running around yelling and slamming stuff.
And that's really ambitious, to be fair. Like to attempt to do a real talky Hulk while you have to animate all of it in CG. I'd love to know how much of that was improvised. If we had to like motion capture an improvised performance from Hulk, because some of it certainly reads that way. Probably. By the way, this fight with while I think we're wasting time with all this, and this feels like a side movie or a side quest in the middle of what should be an epic, this might be the best scene in the movie. Because it feels like the soberest scene in the movie. Like it's a movie again. It's not like a Saturday Night Live sketch again. It's
actually a movie until he starts like screaming. I don't know. It takes me out completely when he's like so goofy, like, yeah, I know him from work, and it's like,
well, that's
that
fair.
Takes me completely out.
I guess I just mean when the actual fight starts, though. Because obviously you have to storyboard all that. You have to actually like come to work and do the job at that point.
Yeah, there's actually a movie being made. Yeah, and this, I don't know. Everyone, I hear people who even like don't like this movie like us say like, well, at least the action's great. I disagree. Like this is like terrible BVS action to me. Like they just hit each other and they fly like 50 feet across the room and they land and they run up to each other. They hit each other again. Like there's no choreography at all. It's just like big. I don't know. It's the same thing that BVS had. Like the Batman v Superman fight was horrible. It was just like Superman punching Batman like a football field.
Yeah, and you're more critical of that than I am, because I would have said the action in this is at least on par with some of the better action in other Marvel movies, but you've been on about it with most of these, so I don't even know if that's an accolade or not.
Well, and the first two Thor movies start with the great scene. Like the scene on the Frost Giant planet is awesome. There's the scene on whatever planet that is in Dark World that I haven't seen since the theater. I remember being awesome, but I didn't like the scene at the beginning of this movie either. It's just kind of jumping around, hitting rock creatures that just burst every time he touches them. There's no fighting. It's just like, I'm really strong, I'm gonna throw you across the whole stadium.
I mean, I guess I would play Surtur's advocate, DJ, and say if you're like as strong and powerful as these guys are, and you can take a beating like they can, it would be a lot of hit a guy, he flies across the room, he comes back, he hits you, you fly across the room.
Yeah, but they're both super strong. So if you're both super strong, it shouldn't be just like you just fly across the room. You should be like on the same level to some degree. I'm sure Hulk's a little bit stronger, but if Thor can make Hulk fly across the room and Hulk can make Thor fly across the room, they should both be more on the same level, and they should be able to take the hits.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I guess it helps for the people who make these movies to have more audience members like me who don't understand how physics works.
Yeah,
because that kind of thing never bothers me that much.
No,
generally speaking. I think more of the problem very often, and I don't know if it is a problem with these guys, because again, they're kind of godlike creatures that probably heal really fast or don't take a beating as much. But you get these fights where people are taking like these heavy beatings, but nobody seems like winded or like they're really physically affected by anything at all. And you'd think at the very least you'd see a progression of lack of stamina, like at the very least. But I don't know if that's a problem with something like this.
I don't know what power that is, like the ability to not get winded.
That's fair.
infinite in energy. Is this from Infinity, or is this from Age of Ultron? The whole, like, the stars are going down thing?
No, that goes back to that goes back to the beginning of Age of Ultron.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That's what and that became a meme real fast, and they know it, and so they're being kind of memey with it. But that's what you're talking about, the whole, like, you know, the sun's getting real low, that whole thing.
Oh yeah, how he calms him down.
That's how Black Widow calms Hulk down to get him back to Banner. But you notice nobody else ever does that, and I don't know that it's really about what she's saying, because they treat it in this like it's like, or maybe Thor just doesn't understand it and it's not actually working. Like, I don't even know if it has anything to do with why he gets back to Banner, so this may not be a fair criticism, but, like, he just keeps saying it over and over again, and I guess they think that's funny.
Because he sees Nat on the screen.
Yeah. Oh yes, of course, yeah. So I mean, like, it's her that calms him down, and I think that's supposed to be because he was in love with her. I guess Hulk and Banner were both in love with her, which could have been an odd triangle.
Yeah, that would be uncomfortable, especially considering the goofy. I don't even know how to say it. The goofy, like, genitalia jokes we get in this movie.
Yeah, Blue Dragon 5, I'm sorry, man. I just don't think it's funny, and we play it too many times. He says the sun getting real low gag is fun, and Loki's reaction is priceless. I guess I'm fine with Loki's reaction.
See what I mean, though? It's just like they fly across the room, and then they jump over there, and, like, it would be cool. We never see good choreography with, like, big lumbering characters. This would have been the scene to do it, like they should be each other's match. Like, even in the first Avengers, they had a good fight.
Okay, so yeah, this is weird. It's like Thor's taking this beating, and he's hitting him so hard he gets a flashback to Odin. But then when he stands up again, this is not gonna really look like he took that much of a beating, right?
And just getting that flat, I don't know, like, it got him to a point where he was, like, desperate or mad enough that he just accessed his lightning powers.
Yeah, so I guess his lightning works like the Hulk.
Yeah, it's, like, involuntary, but then later on we'll have to get him actually walking into a Clark Kent's Jonathan Kent flashback and have tell him that, hey, you have lightning powers, remember?
Yeah, it's not just so that. Can we go ahead, since this happens here, let's go ahead and talk about that, shall we? Let's not wait till we get there. So, two big things about that. First of all, forget for a moment what I'll talk about with the second part, that he, was already a lightning god. If he needed to be reminded of that, he's using it here. Or at least he's got lightning all over himself. It's kind of weird that later in the movie he needs Odin to tell him about it again, when, like, he's accessing it right now. But secondly, how did the God of Thunder use his powers for the hundreds or thousands of years he was around before he got the hammer?
Yeah, why was he the God of Thunder? What?
Right? Like, Odin has to tell him he's not the God of Hammers, which is a line I kind of like, but he's like, are you the God of Hammers? He's like, no. And he's like...
the way they played in the first... Actually, to be fair, I think they play it, he had the hammer, but he had the hammer the whole time, because he has it at the beginning of the first movie.
Oh, that's true. But then he puts the inscription on it, and he won't let him access it unless he's worthy. Okay, sorry. I knew that, and I momentarily forgot about that. At the same time, that seems like a really fundamental thing that he would know.
Yeah, how did he go hundreds and hundreds of years, like you said, never trying to use it without the hammer? Like, every single time he used it, he had the hammer in his hand?
And again, even if he didn't know that, he just accessed it, so why does he need to be told that at the end?
He should be freaked out right now. Like, whoa, I just used it without the powers. Without the hammer. Let me try that again.
Wouldn't you spend the whole rest of the movie trying to access that? Isn't that how a lot of superhero origins start?
Yeah, that's the first thing you do when you accidentally use your superpowers, is try to spend the next couple days trying to figure it out.
Shane Williams says he's not confident to unlock his powers. Okay, maybe that's the idea, but I'm not. Is it a confidence issue? Is that his arc in this? That he gains confidence?
I think so. He has no problem.
I don't see that.
It's a problem with intelligence.
Yeah. If that's what it is, it's not communicated well. It's not executed well. In from where I'm sitting. You want to go back to Super Chats, DJ?
Yeah, Michael Martin. Whoa, weird. I grew up. My best friend and cousin's name was Michael Martin.
Maybe that's
Loki,
who it is.
Valkyrie, and Hulk should have been examples of giving in to Thor's flaws: nihilism, despair, rage. Then have Thor be contrasted. Then, by contrast, fail to give in, be heroic, and by example, a path to redemption for the others.
I mean, that's a really thoughtful idea. That could have been one of probably many ways to utilize those characters in the thematic way and actually give Thor a real character arc. And I just don't feel like he's got one here.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we could sit here and make like a million different stories out of this, but the thing is, it's just not there's no story. So it's easy to like think of stories that could be there. But that's a great idea, Michael.
And once again, I'm fine.
I don't recognize you, so welcome. Thanks for
thanks for being here, man. Thanks for the super chat. I'm fine with fun, crazy womps. Stories don't always have to be like super deep and thoughtful and change hearts and minds. This is another one of those movies, and there's a lot of these in the superhero genre, especially outside of MCU, that pay lip service to an idea or a moral lesson and pretend like they got there and they don't. And this is even kind of worse because they're really, at the end, it sort of pretends like the big line at the end about Asgard being a people is somehow like the resolution of a character arc. Like it's the moral lesson of the movie, or it's the it's the big idea, and it's just kind of tacked on. Like, I didn't spend a movie exploring that, or exploring Thor's relationship to Asgard.
Yeah, like you said, there's like almost whiplash that happens when the real scenes pop up. Like, I've never had this with a movie where you can like 100% see when they're on script and when they're improvising, because it's like it completely changes. Like it gives you whiplash. It's like, whoa, they're reading lines here.
I hate saying this. For me, the operative word here, the kind of Pee Wee Herman word of the day, is unprofessional.
Yeah, and that's what's annoying about it. It's I don't know. It's just like it feels like they're not even trying.
He didn't get electrocuted again. I just felt like drinking more.
Yeah, we gotta catch up. He'll get electrocuted again. Don't worry. And Loki will too. It's the whole thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Okay,
I guess that's Hela's choice there.
T-Edge1 clarifies in another super chat. Thanks, man. Sorry about that. The line should have been, "I'm stepping in him, not in it," when Jeff melted the guy. Oh yeah, when he melts him. So Tom's improving the lines for us.
Sure.
Yeah, that might have worked a little better. So are we to believe, or is this like a first-time thing? Are we to believe, like, that implies that the Grandmaster has been staging the fights and letting Hulk win to, like, raise up this champion for the people? I mean, this movie's not interested in talking about that, but, like, or is this supposed to be the first time? Because Thor just, like, insinuated that Grandmaster was, like, letting him win by shocking all the other people. I don't know which one it is.
I never even thought about that point. Yeah, and I think it's just because I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, I'm just not engaged in that.
Yeah, and I don't think
I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get off this planet because you're going to, and the movie's called Ragnarok, and I want to get to that stuff.
Yeah, and this stuff doesn't do anything.
Yeah, they just didn't give me anything compelling to latch onto, and it's a lot of long scenes.
It's not even about them saving this. It's not even about them saving this city. It's just about Thor getting off.
No, it kind of falls apart, on accident. Like they're not trying to do that. That's not their goal. And then it's weird because when you get to the after credit scene, you never even know what happens to the Grandmaster. It's just he's standing there with all those people. The end.
Yeah, that was just like a joke. And I don't know if Hulk looks worse in this movie than Avengers, but I've never liked this Hulk. I was a big fan of the design of the Incredible Hulk, where he's like he's thinner, he's like taller, he's like a linebacker kind of build. Here he's like just an ape. Like even in Avengers, he's like walking around on his knuckles. Like they make him more ape-like. And I hate not having Ferrigno do the voice. voice and and in this, it's just basically Ruffalo's voice, and they're just like deepening it a little bit. Like it doesn't sound like Hulk. It's just like it sounds goofy to me.
Yeah, I understand all that. I have no dog in that fight. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not a Hulk guy. I like a lot of that just does not bother me. I don't care. I do find myself a little distracted seeing Ruffalo's face in the CG. In my mind, in my mind, Banner turns into a completely different creature. Like the Hulk is a personification of his anger and his dark side, but it's not like literally still him. I always see it as like a different entity that comes out of him. But that's just my read on it. Like it doesn't have to be that.
That's definitely how they played in this universe. I think Ruffalo, he has no idea what's happening right now. He's completely like he wakes up thinking.
You can just call it an aesthetic choice, but to me, it's kind of distracting.
Yeah, I don't like how much it looks and sounds like Ruffalo.
And I mean, it's so that Ruffalo can, keep playing the character, because they're mocapping him the whole time, as Blue Dragon 5 just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Murphy, so when Endgame comes around, do we buy them coming together? Do you mean
Hulk and Banner?
Hulk and Banner? I mean, I guess as well as you can with this material. They just don't seem in character to me. Like this, I mean, this sounds awful. This movie is such a mulligan for me. It informs stuff. It is canon. I'm not going to make the argument that because I don't like it, it's not canon. It's just in my brain, it's hard to even think about it when I think of the overarching.
Well,
MCU.
Nothing it'll matter. Nothing.
DJ, you're cutting out again. I'm sorry. What?
Because they immediately have to fix.
I missed all that. Sorry. You're cutting out again.
I'm here.
Oh, what's up?
Sorry. I was just saying that none of the. I think you can do that to this point because none of it matters yet. But I mean, it'll matter when the next Thor movie comes out. But right now, Infinity War just had to fix everything. We give him a new eye immediately. We get him a new hammer. We just kind of erase everything that this movie did that had any staying power at all.
Yeah, and I mean that's not on these guys. I mean, you could make the argument that the Russos are doing the same thing that he did.
Yeah.
Is it Waititi? Is that how you pronounce that?
Taika Waititi, yeah.
That director's last name, yeah.
Is it? Do you have this?
This is still going.
Yeah. Do you have this? Do you have this where whenever they try to be emotional, it just comes off super sappy and kind
of pathetic?
Wow. Yeah, they're just.
Well, they're just dumb brutes, and I don't see Thor that way.
They're just yelling at each other you're stupid.
Yeah, you're the stupid Avenger. I'm like, you guys are in 10th grade right now? I get Hulk, but that's fine. You can give Hulk that line, but Thor?
Yeah, he's 100-year-old warrior, man. They keep forgetting that. He's acting like a 16-year-old.
And again, as we said earlier, because somebody made the argument, well, he can be influenced by the Avengers, he can be influenced by Earth. Yeah, but to the point where he turns into a bro child, and that's why it drives me crazy in Endgame. And I realize that he's at his lowest point and all of that, and so maybe it works a little bit better. But when he's yelling at noobs over PlayStation or Xbox,
no, that makes no sense.
Okay, DJ, you're getting some of the brunt of this too. So I'm gonna read this comment. Mutali said, "I like how this movie made DJ care about continuity."
No, like I said, I don't really care about continuity, but well, I don't know what he's referencing there, but I'm just talking. I care about character continuity, obviously. I'm just talking about I don't need the films to influence each other that much. But if you just between your own movies, Thor 1, 2, and 3, if the character's not the same, I'm just talking about I don't need the Marvel universe to interact too much. That's what I mean.
I wanted to read that so that you could elaborate on that, because sometimes when you say that, I think it's really and at first when you were saying that, I had this too, where it's do you see every movie, even in a franchise, that's telling an overarching story as singular pieces, where as long as the movie's good, I don't care if a character is wildly out of character, because I'm starting to get that. I don't think you have that necessarily. Because to some degree, these are chapters of an ongoing story too, right? I think you have to keep that in mind.
It's just easier. I mean, it's easier to go the other way. If a movie is really good in a series that I don't really like, I can like that movie,
Okay, sure.
because I don't have to go back to those other movies. But when it's bad, like I'm not going to go back to this. I never planned to watch this again after the theater, but I had to watch it for this.
More often, if that happens, it's because a character wasn't working and they were reinvented to make a film work. Like if that's
I think,
good.
What they did. I think that's what they think they did with this.
Yeah, I think so too. And so then again, to some degree, it becomes a taste issue, at least with the humor. But I don't know why you'd want Thor like dumbed down the way it seems like he is. It doesn't help that I've seen Chris Hemsworth give this performance in every other movie I don't like him in. Because he's not Thor to me here. He's playing...
Yeah.
I mean, it's not exactly the same thing, but there are more than flashes of the character he played in Ghostbusters, and he's playing exactly that character that he did with Tessa Thompson in Men in Black 4. Obviously, one of these happens before this, and one of them happens after. And... When I heard that was announced, I thought it might be a recipe for disaster. I called it one of the worst films of the last decade because I think it is, and it's not just their fault. It's all over the place and horribly paced like this is, but like 3 times worse. I actually would watch this all day long over having to watch Men in Black International one more time.
Great. I'm glad I've never seen that.
I cannot deal with that. It's awful, But yeah, this is what he does when he's told, and again, I really think a lot of this is directing, when he's told, like, just go off book and be funny. And there's a difference between be funny and we're not going to script everything because it's going to feel more natural if the character is talking off the cuff and doesn't have his lines written for him, which is why Downey does it with Iron Man. And I realize that is, of course, Downey playing Downey, but in especially with him and Gwyneth Paltrow, those scenes always feel like there's some layered stuff in the improv where, like, it's not just like say some corny jokes, be stupid, say some things that people will laugh at and move on. It's we know where we need to get to in this scene, and we know how to get there without having all of the lines written for us, and it just naturally gets us there. This is like waste a bunch of time and then say the line that ends the scene. That's what it feels like to me.
We just got to fill out a movie. And it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. I couldn't believe that when I went back to this the other day. I was like, how is this movie that long?
Cinematographic. Cap, did you like him in Bad Times at the El Royale? I didn't see that.
So, here we go. Funnily you say that because I just watched Cabin in the Woods.
I love him in that. He's great in that.
He plays this character, but it's because he's being drugged by the people in the bunker, like making him act like a dumb horror movie teenager, and now he's just that character in this movie.
And also, he's given some clever stuff to do in that, so it works, because it's not all improvised.
Yeah. That was before
the inside of the ship from this angle looks like the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, really?
Kinda. Except like a jagged version of the Falcon. Like, it's not rounded.
Oh. I don't know Star Wars enough to know that, but that would make sense with people calling everything lazy on this movie.
Can you believe we did this? Like, he can't lift off because Hulk's being stupid and he just walks in and wrecks the whole ship?
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Hulk. Now their dumbness is moving the plot along.
Well, I mean, that's something. But can we please get off this planet? Because I don't care. And we didn't talk about the rock monster, but I don't think he's funny. Like, I've been told that you have to come into this with specific humor sensibilities. Like, what is it? Is it Australian or New Zealand humor?
New Zealand, I think.
And to that I say, okay, why do we do that with this? Why is this the movie where I need a New Zealand prerequisite to enjoy the humor? Like, I just don't understand that.
I don't get that criticism because, like, Korg's not doing anything like clever or like that I don't have knowledge of, that I didn't grow up in this place so I don't understand. He's just saying goofy things. Like, he just has a accent and he's just like saying dry or like little dry things. I don't know. Making a masturbation joke of all things. What are we in a Transformers movie? Like,
yeah,
I couldn't believe they did that. That was, yeah, Korg drives me nuts, and the fact that it's the director.
And it's not just
like
Korg. It's a lot of the awkward humor. I think because again, I guess I don't understand New Zealand humor. I've never seen it. I didn't know New Zealand had like a specific humor sensibility like Britain. Like, I didn't even know of that. And so, okay, so I mean, I guess that's fair, but that sounds like sounds like a criticism that makes more sense to make for like when you walked into some indie movie and you just didn't get it. Like, I'm not saying, obviously I'm the guy that's always saying like take risks, but that doesn't seem like the right kind of risk to take. Like, and yet it worked because people loved this movie. So I mean, what do I know? But it all seems really counterintuitive, and it won people over. So that's great for it, you know, bully for it. But I don't get it. And I would think that, you know, there's lines you walk, but I mean, if you're trying to make it, these aren't movies for like, you know, generally accessible general audiences. And I'm always saying it would be cool if we didn't worry as much about that, but I'm talking more in a storytelling sense, you know? Like take some risks in your structure and in the stories you tell, and in not being afraid of the weird comic book stuff. Not in let's stop the movie for 10 minutes and not move the story along, and not you know, really be revealing anything with our characters. And if you don't get it, it's because you don't get New Zealand humor. Like, okay, I mean, I guess maybe that's why I didn't like this, but I'm gonna cry foul on that choice. I don't know why we did that.
Yeah, Mutali says it's just like the tough guys with soft voices thing. Like, he says that he based it off of Korg. He based Korg off of bouncers from New Zealand nightclubs. So I don't think it's like super. I don't think we're not understanding it. I think we just don't think it's funny.
Yeah. Okay. I would have had all the same story issues if I had seen like 5 other movies like this.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
It's not like we say. It's not the humor. We wouldn't even care about the humor that much if we had anything else to grab onto. Like,
DJ, your face is frozen up on us. Would you jump out and come back in?
Sure thing.
He'll be right back after this break. And he's back. DJ, you're going to need to make a phone call to your internet provider.
Yeah, what's going on, man? This they don't like what I'm saying, man. They're trying to silence my opinion.
I'm being harsher. You'd think that they would have silenced mine.
Maybe
I'm not being harsher. Maybe I'm just talking more. I'm sorry, what?
You have too much clout in the industry.
Oh, sure.
They can't silence you.
I'm sure that's what it is.
I'm so uncomfortable now. Like, I'm self-conscious. I feel like I need to make a good face every time because I keep freezing on probably awkward, goofy faces.
You're just gonna make this neutral face the whole time.
Yeah.
How come DJ has this really expressive voice, but there's nothing happening on his face? Where he's just like, I don't know if that's the face you want to get stuck either. That's the face I would want to get stuck.
I'll just creep it.
Explain to me.
Tyler Thompson says, "What is?"
Sorry, go ahead.
Tyler Thompson wants to know what are some of our favorite MCU action scenes besides anything in Winter Soldier. So you can't pick Winter Soldier.
You can't pick Winter. Well, that's rough. A lot of them don't stick with me. I don't know if I have a favorite. I got to think back, I guess. DJ, you were still freezing up, man. Okay, I'm gonna call him back. Sorry, guys. Forgive the technical difficulties here. And now she's moving in bullet time. Wow, we have lost DJ. For real. Daniel Davis says the train scene in Ant-Man. Oh, I really like, I like a lot of the action in Ant-Man, actually. The scene where they clamber over the building, the fake model, the fake buildings, the model, that's really fun. I like that one a lot. DJ.
Hey.
Are you back?
I'm back.
We lost you again.
They can't keep me down.
Okay, so favorite action scenes. Let's do that real quick. We are losing this movie here.
Well, I do want to say this real quick because I want to know what Loki did that at that moment. Because I make her remember a scene that he does.
We're still having a hard time with DJ here. I don't know what's going on with this connection, guys. Are you with us, man?
This is... Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me restart my machine. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
This is weird.
Smographic says Civil War, the airport fight. Yeah, I mean, I love that too. And I know a lot of people think that goes on too long and that it's too comedic. I love it. It's classic comic book stuff. That was, I guess, the second of three places where I felt like I was seeing a real comic book event on screen. Because Avengers did it for me, and then Civil War did it there, and then of course Endgame felt that way too. Or really Infinity War more than Endgame, I guess. But those two together. Yeah, sorry again about the connection issues, guys. So yeah, more just banter that doesn't do anything for me. Bruce Banter, I'm gonna call him in this movie. I guess, and some things I think were a little bit amusing, and then we take them too far. Like his sort of like dressing up like Tony is a little funny. But it would be funnier if we didn't call attention to it, if we didn't even talk about it. Because when he puts those glasses on, he weirdly does look more like Tony Stark for a second, and that would be a lot funnier if we didn't have to keep talking about it. Everything is just so on the nose and explicit. I think is a lot of my issue with it. And this is another thing that I kind of wonder about, where, we're clearly improvising this entire sequence, and then, like, at what point do they decide that he's going to start to turn into the Hulk, like, if it's not scripted? Or do they script, like, just that last line? You know, that kind of thing. Again, this might just be me. It just drives me crazy that we're still on this planet and not to the Hela stuff yet. Of this, like, Hulk parade. Okay, 4 times the charm, sir.
Let's do it.
So, how do you feel about the Hulk parade?
I'm gonna need you to give me a timestamp real quick so I can catch back up.
Oh, did you lose everything? We're at 1:23:06 right now.
All right. Well, I just restarted my computer.
I can give you another one when you come back. Yeah, but I thought you watched the movie on a separate machine.
No, I watch it on my computer.
Oh, okay.
I'm on Disney Plus. So I'm right here with you. Thor just she just electrocuted some big monster guy. So what I missed? You talking about some action stuff?
Yeah, we brought up some more action scenes. People pointed out some of the ones I would have said if I wasn't distracted by trying to get you back. I feel like...
No, everybody who...
I know you haven't said this, but I feel like... I know you haven't seen this, but I feel like Admiral Cartwright at the beginning of Star Trek 4 trying to get Kirk back. Get him back! Get him back!
Everybody who hates my opinion on this movie is like, yes, that guy's gone. Get him out of here.
Like, now if only we could lose that other guy. It's like, man, you can turn the video off. Like, you can do that.
Yeah, you can. You can have that. Silence.
You can have it your way.
Just hit the mute button and No, we're all friends here. We're just being honest about our opinion.
Could you imagine, like, being annoyed enough with the commentary because you didn't like what the guys were saying or the cut of their jib, and then you muted them and kept watching the movie instead of just turning the video off? What would be the point of that?
That'd be great.
Good stuff, God Almighty. The Mysterio illusion scene, yeah, that's great. I wasn't thinking of that as a straight-up action scene, but of course, yeah, it's great. I was thinking, like, there's something that I love in that. Yeah, it's that. Good call. Black Panther casino fight chase. Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about that's the best car chase, hands down. Is the Black Panther chase. I love that.
If you don't count, like we said, if you don't count Winter Soldier's Nick Fury.
Well, yes. But that's not a car chase so much as a car onslaught. There's not a lot of chasing that happens in that scene. There's a battering ram and everything.
Solar Dragon says, "Don't worry, DJ. We hate this movie too."
No. Because it's polarizing, and there's folks in the comments that really love this, and I want to thank those guys for sticking around, because so many of them have, even while we're mostly just complaining about things we don't like, because there's just not a lot I like about this movie.
Yeah, I've never had this where I don't have anything that. Usually there's something, that I can focus on talking about that, but there's nothing in this movie. But a pretty big super chat, Morphe 1987, $20 super chat. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
Keeping my fingers crossed that Love and Thunder will be a better movie since what has to 2 this time, not forcing someone else's, and he has. So yeah, there's a little bit of hope.
That's good. People say he's made good movies. I've not bothered seeing them. All cards on the table. I didn't like this. It didn't compel me to go look at other things. And I have a tough time with that when somebody is like, "Well, Cap, if you don't like this, it's only fair to go look at his other movies and see if you like them." And I'm like, "Well, it's homework." You know what I mean? Like, I tend to watch things when I'm compelled because somebody made something I liked, not because, well, that sucked, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, I don't know. I got other things to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's not.
Yeah. There's enough stuff to watch.
It's not how that works.
That we want to watch.
Yeah,
and I mean, given him a chance.
Obviously, if somebody requested one, I'd be fine watching it. And if there was a like something brilliant, somebody said something was brilliant, and they told me the premise and that sounded really cool, I might try it. But just based on here's a director I didn't like, but everybody else likes. I have to give him a chance because he's well liked. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I actually did give him a chance. I watched Jojo Rabbit and I didn't like it at all. So,
well, I didn't try that because people told me about it and it didn't sound like something I would like. He may just have wildly different sensibilities than me, and that's okay. I have that with James Gunn most of the time as well. I don't like his indie stuff, and I don't think I'm going to like a Suicide Squad movie, but he did a somewhat different thing with Guardians. He held back some of his raunchier stuff, and his comedic sensibilities when they're not all about gross out factor and sex and being cynical is turns out to be much more in alignment with me. He needed to go to space, I guess.
Yeah. We got a super chat a while ago, very early on, from Josh Galisano about, and I couldn't find a good place to fit it in, so let's just talk about it now. He says, not related to the movie, but related to Thor. Would Ultimate Thor have worked in MCU?
I don't know. I mean, I've read the first two Ultimates books, and that's really all I've seen Hulk in. And I'm sure that's mostly what you're talking about. It's a more cynical take on that character.
Thor, Ultimate Thor.
At least it's a darker take on that character. I'm sorry, what's up?
Thor, Ultimate Thor.
I'm sorry. I don't remember a lot about Ultimate Thor, to be honest with you. So I don't have a great take on that right off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're still cutting in and out. I thought you said Hulk.
Sorry. I don't know what's going on tonight. It's icing on the cake.
But yeah, folks that really like this movie being super cool in the comments, we appreciate it. We're not trying to ruin anybody's fun. We're not trying to kill it for you. I'm glad other people really enjoy this.
Yeah.
The only thing that's unfortunate to me about the popularity of this is that because people loved it, it's more of what we're getting from this character, and I don't like that, so I'm having a hard time enjoying that. And I love their initial take. Like, with as bland as I think a lot of things about that first movie are, the characterization of Thor is not the problem. And I think they got that spot on. I think it's great.
Yeah, I have no enthusiasm. I don't even know if I don't want to say that because I'm sure I'll watch it for like this channel purposes, but I have no desire to see the next one. And I know you have to.
Yeah, and I don't either. And just with things he said about it, I can't get excited about it. I still don't see Natalie Portman pulling that off. I am very open to being proven wrong, and I hope I am. And I hope that there's a side of her I've never seen in anything. That would be great. And honestly, my bar is low enough that if she pulls it off and I buy her as being Girl Thor, I'm probably going to walk out of that movie liking it more than I ought to, even if the story's not any good, just because I'm not expecting that to work. So, like, that's the big thing they have to do for me.
Yeah, but is she going to be female Thor, or is she going to be female this guy? And just making... I can't see her just improving and making jokes the whole time.
Me neither, especially because the couple times they've had her do that kind of thing, it's really not funny. Or at least to me. Because they do a couple of scenes like that in Dark World where they try to play her for some of that same kind of humor, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see Natalie Portman drunk a whole movie. Please don't do that.
Yeah, and everyone in this movie is a great actor. Like, Tessa Thompson is amazing in Creed. Daniel Davis just mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course.
She's fantastic, and she does nothing in this.
Arguably better in the sequel. Boy, it's crazy that Creed 2 is on the same level as the first film. That shouldn't be possible. And it's as good. They also gave Felicia Rashad more to do in that movie, which I appreciated because I like her a lot.
So this is his arc, I guess.
Okay, sure, I'll do some more drinking. What's that? Enlighten me, sir.
I couldn't tell you. Like, Loki's just betraying him. Whatever he said right there makes him change somehow. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, like why was that the moment? Because Thor said stuff like that to him before, right?
Yeah, I don't know what he's supposed to have said there. And that's this whole movie, is like Thor somehow inspires Hulk to change. He inspires Valkyrie to change. He inspires Loki to change, but we don't see why. He's not...
So, good point. So when I'm saying I want an arc for Thor, the point is supposed to be that this is the movie where he inspires everybody else and he has the flat arc, which is obviously a totally valid arc. But if I don't buy... I didn't even see that because I don't get what he did to change everybody else. I also don't know that everybody else is all that different by the end, except for Loki.
No, they just came and helped him fight.
Yeah.
That was their change.
One thing that drives me nuts is that we don't tell Valkyrie that Banner turns into the Hulk for any reason at all, except so that she can be surprised at the end when he turns into the Hulk.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's also the least funniest thing I've ever seen.
When he drops out and he doesn't turn into Hulk right away?
Just flops around.
Because we keep turning dramatic scenes that we've had in other movies on their head and playing them for comedy. Is part of the issue, DJ, for us, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is some of it just fan service that doesn't work for us? Where it's like, here's a scene you've seen before in one of our previous movies, but this time we'll make a joke out of it.
But it's like anti-fan service. Like I said, it's...
But Endgame had a bunch of that too.
Yeah, but in that...
Endgame had actual fan service, and some of that annoyed people, and then it also had a little bit of some of this.
But at least they twisted it in an interesting... And we'll see how we feel about it when we get there, because I've only seen that movie once, but at least it was an interesting way. Like, this is just like... It would be really cool if Hulk landed really and transformed and did a roar right here, but instead he's just gonna fall, and like it's like, and they do it every single time. Like Thor throws a ball and it hits him in the face, or like...
Yeah, I hate that moment.
It's nothing is clever. It's just like dumb. It's like, isn't that dumb? Yes, it is.
But I do think that's a fan service moment because they're doing the thing that he does in Incredible Hulk, where he jumps out and then he turns into Hulk before he hits the ground, and then in this it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I remember Incredible Hulk.
I'm just saying, I don't know if that's anti-fan service.
But he hits the ground in that and then transforms into the Hulk.
Oh, he does?
He doesn't transform in the air.
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
So in here, he just doesn't go through. He just flops like a fish, and it's supposed to be funny because you don't expect it. But I do expect it because it's happened every single time they've done a dramatic thing in this movie. It's like, there's not... It's not unexpected when it's every single time.
No, and that's a really good point, and I really had that this viewing, where I'm constantly like, well, you would surprise me if you did what you think I think you're going to do.
Yeah, I would be surprised if something cool happened.
Yeah. I'll also say, and I'm a little surprised I'm saying this, but I think it actually could have used more incidental music in action scenes and stuff, just because they're so few and far between. I'm a little surprised whenever it happens, and it seems like that modern incidental music thing where it's just like, where it makes your action scene kind of just feel like a music video or a trailer or something, as opposed to this is the, like, style of this movie. And this one, again, the trailers made it look like it was going to be really stylistic and really metal, and I think it needs more of that. I would have gone more like with Guardians and had... And one of the things I don't like about this movie is that it's trying too hard to be Guardians, but like, I would have had less orchestral music in the action sequences.
Yeah, pick a lane, people. Like, and I didn't even I didn't even know that you said the trailers made it seem like that's what they were gonna do. I didn't even know that going in. So that one rock song out of nowhere and then nothing for the rest of the movie was super jarring.
Yeah.
And then it comes back at the end, but it's just like we just had this one song that we liked.
Well, that's not fair. It's two. I mean, we do it right at the beginning, and then we do it again when he fights Hulk in the arena.
Oh, okay. I didn't even hear it during that. Is it in that scene?
Mm-hmm. I think. It is fun that we're finally getting some cosmic space stuff outside of Guardians movies in starting to get to bring that tone and that mythology into one of these, inching us ever forward to finally blending those things together. I just don't love where we go and what we do with it here. I guess, I don't know if this is a praise or a criticism, DJ. I guess this movie has finally once and for all come out and said sort of what the realm thing means. But it's it ends up getting a little simplified and silly and makes Odin once again look really arbitrary in his decisions and just random, because she's like, Hela earlier is like, well, he stopped at 9 realms, but there's all these other planets, and I'm like, okay, why did he stop at 9? Okay, so like the first 2 movies cannot decide what the difference is between a realm and a planet. And this movie, in getting a spaceship and going to other planets, says, well, the 9 realms were just the planets Odin knew about, and then he just stopped counting after 9. So it's pretty convenient then that the 9 realms have to align in order to make the thing with Malekith happen in Dark World. Like, why those 9?
And how is one of them Earth? We have 9 planets, or maybe 8 now. I can never. I think Pluto's off and on. But how did he see none of the other planets that are right next to Earth?
Well, that's a really good point.
There's nothing on there, so he didn't count them.
I guess he just counted ones that had civilizations on them.
Yeah.
But the problem is, in the first 2 movies, with Selvig, we keep talking about it like there's also an interdimensional thing going on. And that's not this movie's fault. That's not Watiti's fault, because he's going to come into this and be like, well, we got to deal with the 9 realms thing, but we want to do a space epic, and we know that we have all these other planets, so what does that mean? So, he's stuck with an impossible situation there. So, I can complain that it's simplified, but I don't know what I would have done with it, because it never made sense. We constantly had our cake and ate it, too, with that.
Yeah, well, they could have at least went to one of the realms instead of just a random planet. Which, how does the Rainbow Road...
The Rainbow Road? We need Mario Karts in this universe stat,
they were fighting Hela, and she knocked Loki out, and then a minute later she knocks Thor out. I assume it's traveling at light speed. How did they both end up on the same planet? If they were thrown out at different moments, we just happened to end up on the same planet. Oh, it's the same planet that Hulk flew to randomly. Oh, in an airplane, by the way. He flew in an airplane somehow.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I guess where they came out of the Bifrost had more to do with time than it did with space. Okay. That's a really good point. I didn't even think of that. I mean, I guess it was kind of fun seeing them in the limbo of the Bifrost, or floating around, but...
Yeah, it's cool, but, I don't know what's...
It ends up being that Star Trek 09 thing, where it's Spock shows up at this point, and then Nero shows up at this point.
It's a cool throne.
Shane Williams, Cap, remember the MST 3000 theme song when you asked these questions? Okay. I'm not sure what part of that theme song you're talking about. I mean, I've seen that show several times, but I'm not a mega fan of that, so I don't have it memorized right now.
So Scourge, his name's Scourge, you say?
Scourge, yeah.
Oh.
And he's one of those characters in the Simonson run that, I don't love through that run, but then when he finally does his big epic sacrifice thing, it's really well earned.
Mm. Well, he just had a sad face a couple scenes ago. I don't know if you missed that. So his arc is starting.
He's on his way to that, yeah. And he doesn't really have a character arc either. It's just, from the beginning, he doesn't like that she's murdering everyone. He's just sort of in a position where if he goes up against her, he's going to get killed. So
yeah, like, just forced to do it, and then like once he has to actually do something, he just like can't do it.
Yeah, it's arbitrary. There's not really an opportunity for change. I mean, maybe when he makes that face, that's supposed to be the moment where it's gone too far for him. But I would argue it's gone too far the whole time. Like, I guess maybe the idea is supposed to be that's the point where it's gone so far that he's willing to sacrifice himself. I guess we don't spend enough time with him where I find that compelling. That shot's cool.
Yeah, and we don't spend enough time in Asgard at all. They're just like she's just like chilling here until Thor finally gets back from this planet.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying with MSD3K. Noah O, just repeat to yourself. It's just a show. I should really just relax. Okay. I'm gonna ask questions. Darn it.
Yeah, we're relaxed. We're not actually angry. It's just like, don't expect me to watch your movie. It's not gonna make any sense.
I don't turn my brain off when I watch movies, and more to the point, I have the reaction I have, and then I work backwards and try to explain why I feel that way. Right? So. It isn't that I'm articulating all this while I'm watching a thing. The first time I see it, I come out of the theater and I go, wow, I didn't like that. How come? You know?
Yeah, let's figure out why. Let's talk about it.
And then you're doing your best to articulate it after the fact.
And I will say this, I don't have turn your brain off movies. Like, I don't have movies that I watch just to enjoy. Like, I don't have enough time to watch movies as it is. Movies have to either grab me, like, emotionally. I have to connect to them emotionally, or they have to give me something to think about and, like, chew on for a while. Like, I don't pop in movies and just, like, sit down and have some popcorn and, like, so this is not made for me, obviously. That's what I do more for Mania with Cat for, just to talk. I don't do that with movies. So, like... And that's what this movie is.
Yeah, so but to be fair, there are things that I mean, because you and I do Power Rangers together, like...
That's what I'm saying.
Don't you have things, though, that, you kind of like, but it's hard to explain why you like them? You know what I mean? Like there are dumb things that you still kind of enjoy, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, there's probably things that I like that people wouldn't understand that I like.
Yeah.
But I don't go for, like... fun romp action movies like ever. Like, I haven't seen any of the Fast and Furious movies, like, and this is trying to be like something just silly.
Yeah, and I'm a broken record, but the bigger issue for me isn't that it wants to be a big romp, it's that it's doing that with this material. They should have started over and told a different story. This was not the place for this. You're gonna bring Thor to his lowest point. You're gonna destroy his world. You're gonna take his eye away from him. Like, on paper, this is traumatic, and I never feel the tragedy or the pathos from this character. And so, like, when you say, like, just relax, have fun watching this crazy action romp, it feels so inappropriate. I can't deal with that.
Yeah, it really takes you out when the serious scenes come in.
It's just the wrong place for it. Yeah, go ahead.
And, like, didn't Feige... Someone told me that Feige said, like, this was the Winter Soldier for Thor, like, when they announced it.
Well, and it might have been on the first draft. You can see why Waititi wouldn't have wanted to make that. They just hired the wrong guy. Like, I don't even want to blame Waititi. There's probably a movie that he could have made that I might have liked if they picked the right material. Maybe. And again, somebody said, like, if he'd written it in the first place. We'll see what that next one's like, since he's actually writing it and from the ground up.
Yeah.
The other thing... Ren Davis echoes what you said earlier. The waste of Karl Urban is diabolical.
Yeah, he's so good as Dredd.
It's a good word, diabolical. The end of this movie is the other place where I wanted to compare it to Power Rangers 2017, because we don't care about the Asgard stuff in the same way that we don't care about the Power Rangers stuff, and then we pay lip service to it in the big climax at the end in the last 20 minutes, and this stuff is boring, I think.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, it's not even fun action to watch. Like, that Power Ranger scene was not fun at all. There's the fall. So I'm going to talk about this TH1 Super Chat because it's related to that. He says, that's why he hates the Hulk jump out of the jet scene, and it feels like a slap in the face to Universal. Yeah, that was a super emotional scene in that movie. Like, I love Incredible Hulk, and he didn't know if he was going to change at that moment. Like he had every reason to think he wasn't going to change, but he made the choice anyway. That was his like big moment for change, to embrace the monster and save everyone. And here it's just like, let's do that again, but take everything out of it. And I don't know. I agree with you, Tom.
Let me also ask you this: does it make any sense that he's got like this delayed transformation into the Hulk? What finally makes him change? Because like it's the anger that makes him turn into the Hulk. So he falls, he hits his face, he's like half unconscious, and then when he wakes up, now he's mad enough to turn into the Hulk. Does that make sense?
Nope. And it especially with Ruffalo Hulk, because he has full control over it in Avengers and Age of Ultron. It's not even like an anger. I mean, he can just turn it on and off.
Right.
That's what happens at the end.
Well, I guess I don't know what exactly turns it on now, since he doesn't have that anymore. And also, let me say, because we haven't talked a lot about, what little character stuff we're doing with him in this, the idea that he's been, like, stuck in the back of Hulk's brain for 2 years and is disoriented and lost himself and all of that, in a movie that took itself seriously enough and was actually, like, exploring characters and ideas, that could have been really interesting. And kind of sad. And I mean, like, you could play it a little bit for comedy, where it's like, where am I? I don't know what's going on right now. Like, I've lost 2 years. But he seems like I don't think he would feel like a different character. And it feels like they use that as an excuse, where like now he's a completely different character. Not really because he's been gone for 2 years, but because we can use that as an excuse to just do quirky, goofy stuff with him.
Yeah. And it seems like he's uncomfortable in those scenes, right? Like, wasn't there a quote where he was like, turned to Hemsworth and was like, what are we doing? Are we ruining everything? Are we messing these characters up? And Thor was like, no, we're having fun. Like, it seems like Ruffalo knew.
Yes. Yes, you are. Well, and Ruffalo is famously not like a super confident person, so he questions everything that he's doing when he walks into a scene anyway.
Yeah, he seems like an actor who's probably great. I hear he's great. I haven't seen any. I've seen this big indie movie, The Kids Are All Right, and I've seen Begin Again with Keira Knightley, that movie by the guy who made Sing Street.
He's really good in Zodiac.
Yes, and that's a movie that we both started but never
He's
finished.
really good in the first half that I saw of Zodiac.
We need to do a movie where we just watch the second half. We'll do a commentary or like a live show where we both started this movie and we both never finished it.
We should do a half-blind commentary. We're like, okay, we've seen this first half. Okay, now everybody be quiet so we can enjoy the second part.
Yeah, but yeah, he seems like a guy who shows up, he does what he's supposed to do and does it well, and he doesn't want to be a writer, he doesn't want to he wants to act, do the script that he's given.
Real quick, now that we're in, as you so eloquently put it, the Jonathan Kent sequence from BVS, would you agree with me? Part of the reason that it's maybe not for you because you actually picked
why
up
does
on
nobody
this,
hate this? Everybody
really
hates it in
insightful.
BVS. But this is the same thing, and nobody cares.
Well, they were already not liking that movie, so it was just more flame on the fire. Like if you're like liking something, maybe something like this, you just aren't even thinking about, or it's just whatever. But here's the thing. I don't want to spend this whole time just trying to psychoanalyze everybody that thinks differently than I do. But with that scene, I think that's part of the reason that I didn't pick up on the flat arc that you're talking about. The idea that Thor is supposed to change everybody around him. That maybe the idea is supposed to be in the first two movies he's kind of reached his apex, and it's weird because he's such a buffoon in this, but he's figured out a lot of what he needs to figure out, and now he's passing that wisdom on to others, and he changes them. Okay, but the problem is that plays like his opportunity for change. Like he actually does have an arc like that, and like a change arc, and he needs Odin to explain everything to him. If he figured all this stuff out on his own, it wouldn't watch like a character arc. It would watch like him using what he knows to accomplish something. Odin has to tell him everything. He has to say Asgard is not a place, which gives him the idea to make Ragnarok happen, which is, I think, just not a fun way to do Ragnarok, by the way. I mean, I guess in a way I like it in a prophecy way, where it's like, it's not a real, maybe it was a real prophecy, but we make it happen, so it's not, because you know how I feel usually about the fate versus free will thing? I like that it's a free will thing. I like that it's like, well, we're gonna make it happen so that we can beat this guy and we'll use Surtur that way. That's okay. I could have been won over on that more than I was, but, what leads to Ragnarok in the comics is so much more interesting. It would have been nice if we'd done something with Surtur. But I digress. It just seems like so he's got that, and then he's also got I need to remind you that you have lightning powers. Like, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He needs everything handed to him.
Everything's spelled out for him by a dead guy. Like, he's dead. What is that? Like an Odin aftershock? Like, he just like, what is it?
Is he in the Force? What the heck is happening?
Know. This is Force Ghost Odin.
Also, I didn't say this earlier, but how when we're and also it's a cop out, right? We're not really doing Ragnarok. We're gonna use Surtur to destroy Asgard so that we can stop Hela, and we're gonna say that's us bringing about Ragnarok. Like, we didn't really do Ragnarok, so you're gonna have that title, and anybody that knows this material at all, and I get that. A lot of people didn't, because Thor's not the most popular, Marvel character, and especially back in the 70s and 80s. But, like, you're not going to spend any time in hell in your Ragnarok movie? You're just going to go down there and see Surtur for 5 seconds, and then...
Yeah, just go down there and spin around in a chain.
Take his helmet, and that's all you get?
Scourge's character arc is even worse, because he doesn't do anything until they start beating everybody up, and then he's like, oh, and then he starts helping. Like, he doesn't like make a heroic anything. Like, Thor and Loki and Hulk drop down and start beating everybody up, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna switch sides again.
You ever notice that from a distance Asgard looks like a giant pipe organ?
Yes.
So Mutali and Blue Dragon 5 both say that he's in Valhalla, so I guess from Valhalla he's able to give Thor
then why
images.
is it sad that he died? If he could just come back anytime.
Well, he doesn't come back. He just speaks to him in his brain, but I guess he has to get hit in the head really hard in order to be able to talk to him. I don't know. Are we implying that whenever he gets hurt really bad, or whenever his brain gets hit real hard, he's getting ever closer to death? Is that the idea?
Just gets closer to... Yeah.
I don't think I'm supposed to think about that. I think
it's when the script needs Odin to talk to him is when it happens.
There's not, like, a reason. So I don't know if they want me to give them more credit than they deserve and say, look, we've bookended this trilogy with a fight on the Rainbow Bridge. He's not going to be able to put anybody under his hammer this time, because he doesn't have one. Cinematographic, Asgard is not a place is such a stupid line to me because A, it comes from Odin, but B, these movies can never decide what the heck Asgard is if it's a planet or a dimension. Thank you very much. Yeah, and also, that's a philosophy before it's a fact. He treats it like a revelation, where it's like Asgard, it's like that wasn't really a magic hubcap, the magic was inside you all along. Like, it's a philosophy, it's not...
Yeah, like... I don't know where he comes. He's got a lot of that in this movie. How do you feel about him just trying to make "that's what heroes do" a catchphrase out of nowhere all of a sudden? He does it twice in this movie.
Where does it even come from? I'd be a lot more okay with it if he saw it on like some TV show or something, and he just kept saying it was like trying it out. It was like Dr. Horrible. Like, is that the new catchphrase now?
Tyler Thompson says, "Do you wish he'd kept the eye patch?"
Yes. Well. Maybe yes. The way he gets
that would just remind me of this movie
is fine. I guess I just wish it had any thematic relevance or was like or felt like a real chapter in his life. Where like once he's able like if this had the weight that it should, and then he moves on from that and he's got two eyes again, it'd be nice if it was like symbolic of something. And again, I don't mean to get artsy fartsy with everything. It's just that's almost always like symbolic or representative of something, and we could do some neat things with it. Also, you can't have a guy with an eye patch without me comparing it to what we did with Nick Fury, Captain Marvel notwithstanding. Like, before that, we did some with Winter Soldier some interesting symbolic stuff with the eye patch. And considering Feige originally said that this was the Winter Soldier of Thor, it makes me wonder if maybe we did draw those direct comparisons thematically in that script. I mean, yeah. I would kill to get my hands on that.
And there's no reason not to keep it. It feels like this guy didn't even want to wear a wig, so I'm sure he doesn't want to get makeup on his eye every day when he's filming.
Okay, what do you think of this? Blue Dragon 5, who clearly likes this movie a lot, says, I liked the theme of the film of cutting ties from status quo and embracing the unconventional change. Is that what it's about? Is that this film?
Like, is he talking about because
Asgard gets destroyed? Is that what we're saying?
I guess.
Okay. The thing is, the Thor movies are a weird place to... The Thor movies are a weird place to do that, because the Thor trilogy is, in a backwards way from Captain America, 3 completely different things. Captain America did it on purpose. Thor was lost, dazed, and confused. Had no idea what kind of a franchise it really wanted to be as a franchise, as 3 movies, or however many they would decide to do. I don't mean to say everything's a trilogy. And so to be like, well, there's this like clear regular status quo, and now we're in a like a way that people and I don't mean to compare these, but in the way that people praise. That feel this way, that praise Last Jedi for like subverting expectations. It sounds like you're saying that. It sounds like you're saying like well, we get away from what you're used to, and now we can move forward to do something different. But like every movie, well, I guess that's not true with Dark World, but like the first Thor movie ends with something similar. Like we don't have the Bifrost anymore. Like it's broken down. We don't know how we're going to put it back together. It's too easy that we're able to put it back together after that. But that certainly feels like a giant status quo shift, almost like a Wakanda level status quo shift, but backwards. Like what happens when we are isolated and cut off from everything else?
Yeah.
So yeah, if that's what it is, or if that's what other people are reading in it, I didn't see that.
But that thing kind of comes out of nowhere at the end. Can you call it the theme of the movie if it's only in like the last 5 minutes? I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
We have about 10 minutes left.
And then like we make a joke out of the destruction of the planet, which is in and of itself not a terrible joke. That's one of the better ones with Korg, I guess, but I don't know how I feel about that choice, but
when like you say that after it's kind of like explaining the joke.
Yeah,
it kind of kills it for me.
You think
that just seems, I don't want to say it. That seems kind of self-indulgent, especially because it's the director who's playing that character.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Or I'd forgotten. Mutali says Odin talked about it earlier, though. About what? About the status quo thing?
About
Blue Dragon 5, I kind of see it that way. We lose the hammer. It's scrolling. Asgard and get experimental all over the place. Takes a very different Asgard for Thor to take a lead of the throne at the end of the film. Okay, that's fair. But a couple things about that. Again, the tonal inconsistency kind of kills all that for me. Because you could do that in a movie that still takes itself seriously and doesn't turn the whole thing into a farce. And what I was excited about with it is it looked experimental. So I'm not complaining that it's experimental. In fact, I would argue it's not experimental enough, because the whole thing degenerates into your standard superhero third act with your big giant climax where everything falls apart. The only difference is we lose this time. I mean, but we still beat Hela. Like, okay, we lose the planet, but like we still beat the bad guy. So I mean, like, it does fall back into the same formula. But secondly, and I think maybe a stronger argument is, again, it's I'm sorry. What I was going to say is, it then is even maybe a kind of what you're talking about at the end maybe doesn't even work after the fact, because he's not going to take the throne. He's taking it right now, but later he's going to have that whole thing he did in Dark World again and be like, no, Valkyrie, you take the throne. So that kind of undercuts that whole thing later, at least.
So are we to believe that this is the entire planet? Like, no one died on a ship?
I think the idea is supposed to be that the refugees and that some of them did die, but they don't make it. They don't make that clear at all. I don't buy that the entire population fit on this ship, and they play it like New Asgard is way smaller. So I think by Endgame we've said that it's a lot fewer people. And again, Blue Dragon 5, what I'm talking about with the later movies does not, with this as a piece, mess this up. But at the same time, I just wish maybe this movie had been more about Thor, like having an arc where he decides he was wrong in the last movie and he really should be king. You know, he kind of just takes over at the end because he's the only one left. He hasn't really gone through anything that gets him there.
All the other main characters died.
Yeah. And then it's a really abrupt ending. I mean, I realize that we're going to do the mid-credit thing, like we always do. But I don't know.
I can't get over that there's only, like, a ship's worth of people left. Like, that's not even Asgard as a city. Like, Asgard's a planet. Are there not billions of people on it? Is it all one city? Are we just simplifying it that much?
Again, they're not telling us at the end of this movie. I do not think that that's the entire population of Asgard, and I think there might be a line about it later that it's just these are the refugees that are left. Because when you get to,
I'm assuming that's what it is. Yeah, but it's like that should be super sad.
When you get to New Asgard, and that's the only Asgardians that are left, like very clearly, there's not even as many people there that were in the city in the first place.
Yeah, did Thor do the right thing? Like, he destroyed a whole planet to save his little city. Like, was Hela? I don't know. I don't understand what was happening. Was Hela rule? Was she gonna rule? Was she gonna Ivan Ooze it and start with Angel Grove and then rule the whole planet, or was she just mad at the city? I don't even know what Asgard is in this movie.
Well, they always talk about it like it's a realm, a planet, and a city all at the same time. That's all it is. I don't know. It's Coruscant if they didn't bother to make the rest of the planet any more of the city. That's I guess what it is. Daniel Davis says it's weird how Waititi didn't write this. I'm going to argue it's not, though, because from what little I understand about the background of this, and again, I could be completely wrong, boy, my instinct is it was a rush job. My instinct is they had a script, and it was maybe even a workable script, and they were worried that they needed to infuse it with a bunch of humor. So they brought in a kind of more, humorous type director, and they let him do whatever he wanted with it. And he took the script that was there and didn't really rewrite it. He just shot a bunch of improv around it. I mean, that's sure what it watches like.
It's so weird that they gave him such free reign with this movie. Why?
Mutali, who the hell is Bale going to play in the next one? Yeah, that's a big question. It would be really funny though if he came in and he did what Michael Rosenbaum did in Guardians 2, where you just couldn't even recognize him and he had 2 lines in the whole movie.
What was the plan? Why did they make such a big deal about going back to Earth twice? Did they not know that they weren't going to make it back to Earth?
What do you mean?
Like, they make a big deal in the last scene and then also in this scene that they're going back to Earth. But then this is going to happen.
Well, obviously, no, because they're trying to decide where they should even go. Like, so the end of it is, where are we going to take the Asgardians? And then it's, well, I guess we'll go to Earth, because that's the only thing Thor really thinks of. And then there it's, is that a good idea? And it's just, I think that's kind of a superfluous, wasted scene. But it's just Loki saying, a
conversation that they would
well, have. I tried to take it over and I killed some people. Maybe I shouldn't go back there. That's all that is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're making a big deal out of going back to Earth. I think it's Loki doesn't think it's a good idea for him to go there, and they weren't sure if that's where they should go in the first place.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Stephen Murphy, Thanos is here to say enough of these shenanigans. Yeah, seriously. I don't think that goes far enough, by the way, just having the big ship. Oh, okay. So
yeah, how many people
they encounter a big ship? Like, all right. Let me see Thanos. Let me see something. Let me at least see his, like, right-hand guy. Like, and I realize they probably hadn't started, making any part of Infinity War yet, although they may have started writing that script, because I mean that's a huge undertaking. I don't know, but
I think they had a lot, because that was the very next year, and they shot both of those like at the same time.
Then if they had that script, we could have had. I mean, maybe they didn't have any of the set built or something. I don't know. Like I don't want to assume they could do things that just didn't logistically make sense there. But all things being equal, in a perfect world, what I would have done is had. I forget his name, but Thanos' right-hand man come out and start making that speech he makes.
That would have been cool.
That would have been cool. And then maybe you just see Thanos' feet or something.
Big purple feet.
Mutale, so, yeah. Hey Cap, at least we have Black Panther next to watch this movie from your mouth. Yep, and that'll be exciting.
That's cool.
Fun.
Yeah, that'll be
I've seen that recently. That's more fresh in my mind. In fact, I got to see that on the big screen again recently because because a lot of Chadwick Boseman's movies have been in the theater recently, and I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be able to go see movies in the theaters. So I've gone to a few things that are like older movies that I know I like, just while I can still go to the theater. When there's like no one else going to the theater, and it's like, you know, me and 6 other people, like social distance, like farther than you can in a Walmart.
Yeah, and when we were talking about this, TH1 gave us $2. Thanks, Tom.
Oh, thanks, man. What's up?
He just said he's pretty good in 13 going on 30, which is another Ruffalo performance. So yeah, there's other movies. We haven't seen too many. I didn't like him I don't like him in the MCU, so I wasn't compelled to go check him out in other places.
Who are we talking about?
Ruffalo.
Oh, Ruffalo. Okay, sure. Ruffalo does not seem like I don't know. I'm not going to say that he's a bad comedic actor. Like, he can be really funny. I just think that he's more compelling in serious roles. Like, what I mean is, I wouldn't make him like a slapsticky butt of jokes kind of character. Like, he should be the straight man and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What I think you want to do is, if you're going to have improv scenes that he's in, you do it like you did in Avengers, where you write all his dialogue, and then you let somebody like Downey make up all of his dialogue on the other side.
Tom gives us a super chat. Would it have helped or hindered to have Thanos be how they defeated Hela instead of Surtur?
I wouldn't have done that, no.
Yeah, I don't know if it would have been any worse, but yeah, I wouldn't want to see that. Because how would that even work? Why would he be going to Asgard? Why does Thanos go to that? Did their ships just like bump into each other? Or did he know that Asgard was a planet and then he was going to do like planet to planet and then he
well, they had the Tesseract.
Oh yeah, Loki steals the Tesseract. That's what.
No, it's not Loki. Does Loki steal it from the throne room? Is that what happens?
Hmm?
Okay, because we saw it here. It's still in that throne room. So yeah,
Loki grabs it when he walks through to get the Surtur.
I couldn't remember where it was, but it's clearly on that ship.
Yeah, it's like a comedic scene where he's like walking to get Surtur's thing and he goes whoop. He literally does like a double take, like whoop, and sees the Tesseract.
This name I can't read says people who don't like, just not that I can't read it. I'm literate. It just has a swear word in it. People who don't like this movie are in the tiny minority. Why is Cap talking like he's in the majority? Am I doing that? Am I talking like I'm in the majority? I mean, I've said a lot of times I know a lot more people like this movie than I do. I'm calling it like I'm seeing it. I'm talking about it like I have the feelings about it I have. Like,
yeah, that's all we can do, guys. We can only give our perspective. We're not going to pretend.
I respect you if you like this movie. I just don't understand that opinion, and I'm going to call it like I see it. I don't pull punches.
Yeah, we can't come into these like trying to give the perspective of the majority. Like, first of all, we would never be correct.
If that was my job, I would quit it. That's pointless.
Yeah.
What is the point of that? I'm not here to validate anybody's opinion. Like, if you don't like mine and you don't find it interesting to listen to my perspective, that's very different from yours, then go watch something else. But I'm going to call it like I see it.
Me and Cap didn't see this movie together. We have never talked about this movie until today. Like, this is
we came to our opinions about this completely independently. And if DJ loved it and I didn't like it, we would have debated about it.
This is just how we each feel about this movie, and it just happens to be pretty similar.
That's what we would have done.
Everybody's attacking that guy in the comments.
No, don't attack him.
They're on ours.
I mean, I didn't read it. I didn't read it to attack him. I read it because I first of all wanted to say, hey DJ, is that what I was doing? Because I certainly don't mean to do that.
I want to talk about this because Mutali keeps asking
absolutely.
This. And this inevitably always comes up when I remember Eric talking about this. When someone will say like, "How do you like this? How do you not like this, but you like this?" You know, that thing always comes up. Like Eric gets it for Punisher Warzone. Mutali keeps saying, "How do you like?"
Here's this after credits scene real quick.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, like first of all, I mean, I don't care that we go back to this because I didn't care about this part of the plot or this part of the story.
Yeah.
But like, what is the point of this? It looks like a scene that they cut. That they were just like, well, we need something right at the end. Because he's just going to go like, well, and I guess I like this line, okay, where he's like, well, you have to have somebody to overthrow for a revolution. So I guess that was me. So yay us. Like, that's kind of fun. And then he's just going to look out at him. And I guess the implication is that they're probably going to kill him. But they don't rush at him. Nobody's like, charge, nothing.
Yeah, we don't know. They left it so ambiguous.
Maybe they did that in case they want to bring him back at some point. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would be surprised if he didn't have at least a cameo in Love and Thunder, by the by.
No, I mean, Tali, I didn't think you were attacking me at all. I'm not offended by the question. I just wanted to answer it because I see you've been asking it a little bit. Like, but that happens a lot. Like, you don't like this. How do you like this other stupid fun thing? But he said, how do you like Birds of Prey and Deadpool 2, but not this? First of all, I don't like either of those movies. I don't hate them as much as I hate this movie.
And as much as I really dislike Birds of Prey.
Yeah, Birds of Prey, I have no, like, I like Thor. I like fantasy stuff. I have no skin in the game with Birds of Prey, and the action scenes in that were actually fun, and there was cool choreography, and I'm familiar with, like, a lot of the stunt guys in that. That was kind of like a big team up movie of all the martial artists and stunt guys that I follow, like Jeremy Marinas and Anis Trifa and Micah Carnes and stuff. And there was super cool, like, martial arts in that movie, and so I can watch that. It's not like I love that movie or anything. It was just like I was watching with my wife and I enjoyed it for like the hour that I watched it. It's also shorter than this. And Deadpool 2 I don't like. He says, why do you like Deadpool 2? Deadpool 2 is fine. It's okay. I like it better than the first one, but I really don't like the first one. So, but we'll talk about that later.
And I like the first one quite a bit. I gave it at least a 3.5. Did I give Deadpool a 4? I may have. I really like that movie.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I mean, I know that was aimed at you, but I'll just say, like, the Deadpool movies aren't, like, I don't know, they're not disingenuous about the dramatic stuff. They're not pretending like there's something other than what they are. And like, and it's also, especially that first movie, I think the drama and the comedy are better integrated. Where, like, yeah, it is a straight up comedy. I don't even think Deadpool is a straight up farce. There's the weird fourth wall breaking thing, of course, which it mostly just does because Deadpool, is famous for that. But like, I don't know. I actually felt something for that character when it was supposed to feel tragic, when there was supposed to be some pathos, and I didn't have that with this. That felt like an appropriate use of the comedy they were using in the story that they were telling, and this felt like, and I've said this before, but this felt like somebody having to do like a 10th grade English assignment they really don't want to have to do, so they're trying to find a way to make it fun for themselves. So they plead with the teacher over and over again, can I please do a pop culture assignment? Can I please do a pop culture assignment? Fine, you can write a paper on Friends, whatever. And then they write their paper on Friends, but they don't take it seriously at all, and they just spend the whole time like quoting random pop culture things and like taking forever on bits that don't really add anything to the project. And it's probably also a rap. Like the whole project is probably like getting up in front of the audience or in front of the teacher, and like 5 minutes of it is a rap. That's what I felt like I was watching. It's just immature. It just doesn't take itself seriously. And Deadpool is an immature project, kind of, because that's the sort of story they're telling. Like, there's a degree of immaturity to that in the first place. It's what it is. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And TH1 gives us a super chat. He says, I've always felt like the opinion has been pretty 50-50. He might be just talking about the opinion on this movie in general. I don't think it's 50-50. I think we're definitely in the minority.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, general audiences seem to mostly really like this movie, and I guess I kind of get that to some degree. Again, I don't want to psychoanalyze people who like to think I didn't, and I don't want to seem pretentious. I don't want to be like, here's the stupid, superficial reason you liked this, you morons. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But for general audiences, I wonder if. I hope that's not what I'm doing when I say this, but I'm going to say this, take it for what you will. I wonder if for a lot of people, because first of all, if something of this tone and pacing, DJ, had been the first Thor movie they put out, I don't think the majority of people would have accepted it. In the same way as I don't think people would have accepted some of the motivation and story issues from Dark Knight Rises if they had been in Batman Begins. Although with that, it was that director having already won people over and stuff. This is kind of a different thing. I think it's almost the opposite of that. I think it's almost the first two movies a lot of people found really kind of dull and uninspiring, but they liked Thor. So they were waiting for like a romp and something really fun with that character, and we finally got that. And so I think that might be why a lot of people were won over in the first place. case. I'm not saying that that like they were superficial about it. Some people, this movie seems to have spoken to them for whatever reason, and it just didn't to me, and I don't really get that. And also, it's a humor and sensibility thing. There's a lot of people that don't get why I like that first Guardians movie so much, and some of that is taste issue with comedy, where it's like, I didn't think it was funny, and if you're not laughing at that movie, it's harder to appreciate. Now, I think it also tells a good story, and I don't think this tells a story. So that's where I land on that. But I think it might not have turned people off immediately like it did me, because the tone didn't bother them, because it's more what they wanted from this, and it's not what I wanted from this. That also becomes something of a taste thing.
Mm-hmm. And it's, and I'm not trying to do what Cap said we're not trying to do either, but like, it's surprising to me personally.
Everybody's saying don't psychoanalyze me, and that I'm saying they're morons and that they're unsubscribing.
Like you said, it really resonated with audiences. It's surprising to me that the critic score is higher than the audience score by quite a bit. It's the tomato meter is 97% in the audience, and the audience version is 87 or 93% versus 87%. Like, that's what surprises me. Like, I guess everybody just wanted to have a fun comedy. I don't know. It's weird that, like you said, I feel like we needed the MCU up to that point before people were ready for this movie. Maybe it was like slowly turning into this. Like you said, if it was the first thing out after Iron Man, it would have probably not worked for people.
It's just, if a lot of the rest of the MCU turned into this, it would feel like a degeneration to me. Like even if it's more comedic stuff than not, I think you can integrate the comedy and drama better and like tell a real story. But I don't want to just keep rehashing stuff. So anyway, DJ, next time we got Black Panther.
Yeah, big difference.
So
very different thing.
That will be a lot of fun to chat about, and I have all kinds of stuff to say about that. Recently, and this will come out hopefully in the next couple of weeks or the not too distant future anyway, I just did a review on the first several issues of the Black Panther run from 1998, the kind of still considered one of the big seminal runs on that, and where a lot of the mythology and ideas from that movie come from. And something they do in that I forgot to talk about this in the review, so I'll mention it here, that I didn't realize is, remember in the movie they have the in order to get the Black Panther power, you have the heart-shaped herb. In the comics, it's literally shaped like an actual heart, like with ventricles and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's crazy. How does that even happen in nature?
Man, that movie's gonna be rough. We might be crying. We might be tearing up in the commentary, man. It's gonna be super hard watching that after what happened this year. Obviously, that scene with his father is gonna really get me.
Yes, that's a heart-wrenching moment, absolutely. And Boseman just tears it up in that scene.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm looking forward to rewatching that one. I probably will rewatch that one because I haven't seen it since the theater.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We sure appreciate it. Hope you had a good time watching with us live. Even if we just tore apart a movie you like a lot, I hope you still had fun. And we will see you again in 2 weeks for Black Panther. Join us again on Thursday for another exciting episode of the Captain Logan Show, where we'll talk about whatever's going on in pop culture at the time, whatever you guys want us to talk about if you pop in live. And also, we'll be doing After Dark right after that for the patrons. So if you want to hang out with us late and chat about crazy stuff we don't usually talk about on the channel, and get loosey-goosey and nutso and possibly even sing some karaoke and stuff, come in and hang out with us there. And in the meantime, we will see you again real soon with lots more cool, fun stuff here on Geekvolution. Oh, let me also mention, once again, real quick, that after this, next week, we're going to take the week off from live shows. So Thursday night is going to be I forgot to mention this, our Halloween show. So we'll be dressing up that night. And then next week we'll be off the whole week. I will probably be posting some videos that week, but we won't have live stuff. So that is the news that's fit to print. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you again next time. I was Captain Logan. That was DJ Martinez.
See you later, guys.
Later, folks. Where's my end stream?